guilty of crime.
Y'all know the drill. Come on in. Get comfortable. I'm your host, Jay, with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. How's everybody doing? Let me put that trigger warning up because you never know what I'm going to say. All right? Come on in. Everybody, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. Now, I will be giving out a membership later on today, as you know. And the new merch, guys, I cannot wait for the new Stay Jaded merch. I just ordered one for me and for Mama Pearl and for the giveaway. I can't remember who just won the giveaway, but that's all going to go out, guys. So today we're talking about Hayden Panettiere's death. It takes a dark turn. DEA is now investigating, but what are they looking for? If I asked that question to Carrie, I know what she would say they're looking for. She says, lock up that piece of shit ASAP. And I get it. I'm with you, girl. I'm with you. We're going to talk about the domestic violence and the abuse today surrounding her toxic relationship. And guys, I didn't even realize that her ex-boyfriend and brother were there at the time, coming out with a bag of pills. Here you go, officer. That's how she died. Okay, that's very, that's sus. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Never caught a live from the beginning. Love your channel. Thank you, guys. Welcome, Sarah, to the Crime Crew Official. That's the thing, SoCal, gal, we're going to find out today. We're going to look back at this, and they've only given us so much information. So we're going to start with law enforcement and the police report, and then we're going to move to the DEA and what they're investigating, why they're investigating, and who they're investigating. It's a lot. So buckle up, buckle in, guys. Get comfortable. We're going to be here for a while. Edith, thank you for being a member for 14 months. Y'all, thank you for all the support. I see you guys. I see Lady for Justice just gave me a 5-star in my book. Very nice. Thank you. That very adult book that I have. Former champ Andre Donovan's in the house. All right, Lady Justice. Stay jaded. Straight up. Like, that's all you're going to hear. Hashtag stay jaded AF. All right? That's it. That's all. All right, guys. I'm so ready for it to be the weekend. Tomorrow's Friday. I've got a long massage booked for 2 hours tomorrow. And then it's the weekend. And I could just tune out, which I will. And you guys know that. I got a new buddy, though. Let me share that with you real quick. I got a new buddy that sits right by me and gets to watch me while I film. So now I'm not lonely. All right. We got the new Chucky that came from Mrs. and Baby Guilty. They went school shopping last night, and this is what they brought me. Besides the clothes that they bought, this is what I got. So I got some new buddies today. Welcome my other Chucky and my other Chucky, along with my other 100 Chuckies that I have. All right. Welcome. And if I need somebody to get a serious knockout, then here you go. Chucky's in the house. All right. Let's get to it, guys. Let me put that down. Let me put him down so he can watch me work. All right. How's everybody doing today? I hope y'all are doing well. Very cute. You guys know what's up. You know, when somebody buys me some, it's going to be something horror. You already know that. Everybody buys me horror stuff. I've got it filled out everywhere. Holly bought me some for my birthday. Guys, SoCal. What's up, Remy? Good to see you. I'm not lonely anymore, that's for sure. All right, no me gusta Chucky. Hey, Kimberly, New York in the house. How you guys doing today? Sadie's mama, big hugs to you. Foxy's here. Yay. Los Angeles, California in the house. Wesley, I lost my little pebbles not too long ago. Prayer for you and for Synth. I know how hard it is to lose a pet. Ray Hansen, all you guys. I'm so glad you're here, Carrie. Glad you're here. Okay, guys. Hayden, her death. It's heartbreaking, and y'all know it. All right. At first, I was like, okay, I'm going to report on this, and I may only have one episode because they might just say, you know, it's another Hollywood star that OD'd. But this is not the case. In this case, in my opinion, according to police enforcement, law enforcement, police force, and DEA. Okay, so I am really glad that it's moving fast. I think this is going to be another Matthew Perry situation. All right, shout out to Leslie. How you doing? Patricia, I have not heard from for a long time. Kim, Toronto, Canada's in the house. What's up, guys? Come on in. We're going to be here for a while. You know how we do it. All right, first, I'm just going to go right out of the gate before I start reading. New Jersey's in the house. All right. Before I do anything, I'm going to pop this up and y'all can see what I'm talking about. Right? This is actually my thumbnail for y'all. Okay, this was a thumbnail.
New details today about the death of Hayden Panettiere. The 36-year-old actor and mom was found unresponsive in Greenville, South Carolina over the weekend. According to a police report, we now know who was with her when she died and what officers found when they arrived on the scene. Mark Strassman has the story.
A newly released, heavily redacted police report reveals more information about Hayden Panettiere's final moments on Sunday. According to police, Panettiere's on and off boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother, Zach.
Guys, this is not good. All right. This is not good at all. The fact that 2 to 1 were there and she was there in the bag and the way this went down and the text messages, they were still in legal battles. Okay. This abusive piece of garbage was abusing this beautiful woman, Hayden. Now, Hayden, I mean, you know, a lot of people might be like, well, she was rich, she had it all, and she messed it up. But you know what? That's not fair. Her mom got her into acting at 11 months old and then put her out there on the chopping block and let people do what they will. And then instead of supporting her, what did she do? She didn't support her. She cut ties due to the money, and her statements are outrageous. Now, I'm not blaming her mom for the death of her, but what I'm saying is what a piece of trash the people that were closest to her are and were, okay? She was surrounded by garbage. These people only used her for what they can get, in my opinion, and then they discarded her. And that's so sad. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many objects you have or how many people you think adore you. It's not okay. This is not okay. All right, so we're going to get into that. I did not realize these two men monsters were here. One, I'm going to say as her ex-boyfriend, he's a piece of shit, and that's validated. All right, Brian Hickerson's family also got a welfare check yesterday as well. So what's going on now? Brian speaking out from his lawyer about the sudden death. Guys, there's so many things I did not realize in the first episode that I covered. So let's get into it. I'm a huge country fan. So, Callie, I'm a huge country fan. I know all about that. Huge. You guys don't think so? I might not look country, but I am. All right? Country is much better than this fast-paced shenanigans we got going on. But Hayden was failed at every corner by every person that was close to her. I see friends speaking out, and they wanted to help her, but she kept going back to this monster. And then her mom.
We're inside the Greenville, South Carolina apartment and called 911.
CPR is in progress.
In the incident report, the officer described the brother to be very emotional, while Brian Hickerson did not become emotional until EMS declared her officially deceased. The official cause of death is still unclear, but radio chatter mentioned the word overdose.
Easley Bridge Road overdose.
At some point, Hickerson showed the officer the bag of medication that Panettiere had been taking. Details of those medications are redacted. Panettiere and Hickerson had a tumultuous relationship. She wrote about it in her memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning. In 2021, he was sentenced to 45 days in prison for domestic violence. In a recent podcast, she read from her journal about the abuse.
I realized that I was more afraid of being alone.
And as I was looking at this case and just researching the crap out of it, I realized, well, two things. One, I realized she's a Leo. All right. She's a Leo. And if you're a Leo and you know Leos, or you're married to a Leo, you have a best friend as a Leo, Leos love hard. We don't give a shit about what you're giving us or what you say to us. It's all about how you feel and what you project. And I believe she felt so deeply about many things that she used the medication to numb herself. And it just continued into a spiral that you'll see over the years that she was, right out in the social media or the public's eye.
Than being abused.
It's something I used to do when I was a kid.
The former child star became a household name on shows like Nashville, and she's been candid about her issues with mental health and substance abuse. But lately, she seemed to have turned a corner.
I finally feel like I have shaken off all of this darkness and this negativity.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Mark Strassman in Los Angeles.
Still so hard to believe. In an interview with NBC News, Panettiere's estranged mother spoke publicly for the first time since her daughter's death. She called Hayden an amazingly talented.
She's a piece of garbage. All right. That's what I'm going to say about that. In my opinion, she's a piece of garbage. All right. You guys know how I feel about family. You know how I feel about my mom. Mama Pearl's here every day with us. We're like this. All right. We're close. Like, family's everything. Money's not. Objects aren't. Those can come and those can go. But this woman is a piece of trash. All right. In my opinion. Hey, Indy, good to see you, my friend. Azzy, Bella.
Person, and went on to say of people who grow up in the entertainment industry this: it is a struggle and it's a very challenging industry. It's not unusual for them to sadly find the wrong path. I think it becomes very difficult to be true to yourself.
Yes.
And I think Hayden sadly lost her way, and I wish it were different. I wish she had stayed true to herself because she had many incredible attributes. Guys, you read this and all I can think of is thanks, Mom, for nothing.
I mean, Hayden Panettiere spent years publicly acknowledging her own failures, her own struggles. She did it with you in that interview. She cannot respond now.
No.
And for her mother to use these days after Hayden's death to just remind the world how much trauma she caused, it's unseen.
And I love that he just said that, because that was the trauma that her mom caused. Okay, Hayden couldn't put herself in acting, looking for jobs at 8 months old. She couldn't agree to being 11 months old, and then on. I didn't even realize how many things she was in until today. She was just itty bitty. She grew up with us, with all of us. All right, she literally physically had been working for 36 years, and she was only going to be 37 this week. Put that in perspective.
And when she was here, Vlad, she told us that it was a very complicated relationship with her mom and that it was still a work in progress. And you hear stuff like that and you realize it was still very much in progress. It makes me so sad that of the opportunity that you have after your daughter's death, that's what you choose to leave us with.
If she had just stopped it, she was amazing and talented.
Yes.
Kelly,
we
so
would all
true.
agree.
So true.
You would hope a mother's instinct is just warn your daughter.
Follow the lead of her partner, the father of her child.
Nope, not at all, guys. It's also 420, so get out your 420 gear if you got it. Hashtag take your meds. Hashtag stay jaded. All right? Stay jaded as... I don't want to cuss. I won't cuss, but please respond to the home of Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend, as well as them doing a welfare check, all right? This was the welfare check, and let me put the other one up real quick. I'll just read this headline. Please respond to the home of Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, for a welfare check. Now, this was yesterday, and they say that this doesn't have anything to do with the August 16th death of Hayden, but police did respond to a home that belonged to the family of Brian Hickerson, the on-again and off-again boyfriend of Hayden, on Wednesday. Now, when I put into perspective for you their tumultuous relationship, the toxicity, and the domestic violence, I think y'all are going to see a bit more of the same perspective that we're seeing here. Brian and his brother Zach were with Hayden on Sunday at the time of her death, and a police spokesperson told Page 6 that the officers responded to a request for a welfare check. But guys, they didn't specify who. Now we're talking about this piece of garbage, Hickerson, Brian Hickerson and his family. But now he's lawyered up. He's lawyered up, all right? So this guy that's been, and we're going to go over some of the text messages, the things that he says and did to this woman are just unthinkable that she would put up with this. And I never knew any of this. I did not know any of this until now, right? That happens. Somebody passes away and then people start to care. And that's not why I'm caring. It's because now I know. I had no idea. All right, so let's take a look at this real quick. This is today, August 20th. Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson's lawyer, speaks out after her sudden death in South Carolina. All right, Hayden Panettiere died on August 16th at 36 years old. Her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, broke his silence in a statement via his lawyer today, August 20th. Don't get fooled by the clickbait, guys. I was doing research today, and there's so much clickbait. There's fake dates on the text messages, and people are saying that her body was abused when the autopsy. That didn't happen at all. But the police report did clarify and specify Brian's relationship with Hayden and what transpired that day, and there's suspicion of him not being emotional and handing over a bag of pills. Here you go. All right. Now, the actor was found dead at a residence in Greenville, South Carolina on Sunday. First responders arrived at the residence on Sunday following a 911 call of an unresponsive female. Now, guys, we still do not know who made that call. Nobody's identified yet. We speculate, but that's it. Now, this is a picture of Hayden with Brian in 2019 and 2022. You'll see them off and on for many years and some really nasty, horrible things that he did to her. All right. Now, Sloan Ellis, his attorney for Hickerson, told TMZ in a statement on Thursday, today, August 20th, that Hayden's death remains under investigation and is important to allow the investigation to proceed. As he has been publicly reported, police confirmed there were no signs of foul play, but out of respect for Hayden's loved ones and the ongoing investigation, there will be no further comment at this time. Also, he was the last person with her. He was also coming up on multiple charges stemming from long ago. We'll go through the text messages. He has a motive. There's other people that have a motive because she was exposing these individuals months ago. She's on a book tour, actively exposing them. But where did the drugs come from? That's the bottom line. Who supplied the drugs? Who was present? And the significance of the Narcan found by her body. There's a significance there. And guys, in the police report, they spell it out that Brian doesn't seem right to them. That happens a lot in cases where they go back and they arrest the husband or the spouse or whoever's closest. Now, before recounting the abuse, Hayden detailed this in her memoir, The Valentine's Day Assault of 2020. Did y'all know that Brian slapped her and pushed her into a wall? He had an arrest of domestic battery and interference charges. Of course, there was a bond. Guys, there was a 5-year restraining order that was just up in 2025. Why was she going back to him? Well, the domestic abuse, that's real. All right. Her case remains open. It's under active investigation. They say no signs of foul play or trauma. Toxicology is pending. We got 2 to 3 months. But the DEA has now joined this probe, and police continue to examine the circumstances surrounding her death before that day, up until that day, and after. All right, so we're up to date, August 20th, 2026. There's so much more, guys. All right, let me continue. So Monday, August 17th, Greenville County Coroner's Office announced an autopsy had been completed and no signs of trauma were discovered. Guys, Matthew Perry, so many others in Hollywood that we just can't see, right? So their statement shared by the coroner said the investigation remains active and ongoing, and they confirmed that what was found in cardiac arrest when the first responders arrived on Sunday. All right, but what caused that? You know what I mean? Her rep confirmed that her death in a statement on behalf of her father, Alan Skip Panettiere, or Panettiere, I can't say it, Panettiere. You guys spell it out in chat, all right? I hear it and I say it and then I read it again. I'm like, all right, profound sadness. Her father says that we share for the tragic passing of our beloved Hayden. She was an incredible light and a force of nature who brought immeasurable love and joy to all that knew her and the millions who watched her on screen. Those aren't the important people. Those aren't the people that let her down. Now, guys, she was a mom. A lot of people talk about her giving up her daughter at 11. That did happen. 11-year-old Kaya, who she shared with her ex, all right, Vladimir Klitschko, a Ukrainian boxer. He shared a tribute, and so many others. You'll see today. Hayden, although was no longer my partner, he says, she was an important part of my life and the mother of our daughter, Kaya. He wrote in the Instagram post that nothing will erase the times we shared or the place she had in our lives. To our daughter, Kaya, I will always speak of her mother with respect and make sure she remembers the person she was. Guys, even the ex-boyfriend, husband, fiance, baby daddy, even he said something beautiful and nice about her that her mom couldn't manage to squeeze out. Now, of course, they're going to look at Brian and Zach that were both on the scene. We now know when first responders got there. According to the police report, Brian showed the police a bag of medication that the late actress was taking. All right, per the report. And the responding officer, Matthew Bryan, wrote in that report that Zach was very emotional. That's his brother, while Brian was not visibly emotional until Hayden was pronounced dead. Now, guys, I was doing some research earlier, and I think that Zach and Hayden had a pretty close relationship. I saw a picture from, the media where they were out and about holding hands, not holding hands because they were in a relationship, just holding hands, right? Some support. So Zach was more emotional than Brian. And the officer noted that he spoke more in depth with Brian and stated that Zach referred to Hayden as his brother's girlfriend. Now, the late actress was most recently seen with Brian at Los Angeles Airport. They were first linked in 2018 and in 2022. Interview with People, Panettiere described the period as very dark and complicated time of her life. She was privately struggling with addiction to alcohol and opioids. She wanted to party and she wanted to do everything she wasn't supposed to do, she said. Now, during their relationship, guys, Hickerson, Brian, was arrested numerous times on charges of domestic violence. Panettiere issued a statement after the 2020 arrest on 8 domestic violence charges. She says, I'm coming forward with the truth about what happened to me in hopes that my story will empower others in abusive relationships to get the help they need and deserve. She said, at that time, I'm prepared to do my part to make sure this man never hurts anyone again. That doesn't sound like someone that she should have been taking a bag of pills from or even trusting with a drink near her. Now, in 2021, Hickerson pleaded no contest to the 2 felony counts of injuring a partner. But guys, I saw his smug ass doing an interview saying he threw a phone at her, but he gave her time to run. I'm going to throw a phone at you. Run. I'm giving you a head start. And he says it with a smile. Now, related to that arrest, he was sentenced to 45 days in jail, 4 years of probation, 52 domestic violence classes, and $500 in restitution, and a 5-year protective order. He spent 13 days in jail, and the other charges were dropped. Okay? So, last moments that Hayden was with, she was with that guy. And she overdosed. So I ask you, why and how? All right? DEA joins. Let's get to that.
Tell ABC News, the DEA is joining the investigation into the cause of death for star actress Hayden Panettiere. The Greenville, South Carolina Police Department continues to lead that investigation, looking into how the actress died and if it could potentially develop to a criminal complaint. TMZ says law enforcement sources are conducting the investigation to see if some illegality is behind the 36-year-old's death. Authorities say Panettiere suffered cardiac arrest at this South Carolina apartment complex Sunday. Police report claims.
Now, guys, a lot of things can cause cardiac arrest, but one big thing that can cause cardiac arrest in individuals that use drugs, and particularly, I got to tell you, those that use and then they get clean, they have a much higher rate of overdosing. Okay, so you get clean, you get older, your body can't take it, then you go back and you do the same thing, and it's like that, guys. But one thing I got to say about the cardiac arrest is uppers and downers. Okay, she could have been doing opioids while also partying on, the white stuff. All right, Foxy Amazon, thank you for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you receive that membership, please thank Foxy. You need a membership, Maggie. And yes, we missed you, as well as Wolfpack. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Yes, some of them, but we're going to get into all of that. All sad. Researching this just made me sad. All right. I heard that there were not clonidine. I heard that there were pain meds and Valium and other various medications as well. But I'm telling you right now, if you look into opioid or drug addiction, the number one killer, an overdose of people are ones that stop doing the drugs and then relapse. Okay. Their body doesn't take it anymore and it's been built up. They stop doing it. And just that little bit will push them over the edge. Okay. So I think her birthday was coming up and this fucking guy, excuse my language, said, hey, let's go party. We'll go to my place. You fly over to South Carolina and we'll have a party with just us. Right. A cocktail. Yeah, that's a better way to say it. All right. How you doing, everybody? Good to see you, Christina and Birdie and Gianna. Yeah, he's a piece of trash. I can't believe she spent her last moments with him. It makes me mad. Michelle, how you doing? You could have got gifted a membership too. Colleen, SoCal, you checked about payments for caring for a parent. I know there are programs out there. My dad is doing okay. Yeah, the whole thing is terrible. And she missed her brother terribly, but look at her mom. Her mom put it off on her like it was her fault. She actually blamed her in many instances. I don't know how.
Her on and off again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother, Zach, were there and called 911.
Have a cardiac arrest. CPR is in progress.
Overnight, ABC News obtained court documents revealing a pattern of alleged abuse between Hickerson and Panettiere. California prosecutors accusing Brian Hickerson of willfully inflicting corporal injury, resulting in a traumatic condition upon Hayden in multiple instances across 2019 and 2020. One time allegedly using a garage floor and stairs to cause injury to Panettiere. Yesterday, he was seen for the first time since her passing, spotted leaving a Burger King hours after Greenville police officers responded.
Panettiere. Okay, now we're starting to see where they responded to. A little bit more is coming out. Thank you so much, Rose, for the $5 super. I'd say a super sticker, but there's not a sticker. But thank you. I appreciate you. Come give us another comment and I'll read it. All right, guys. Yeah, you owe me is what she told her daughter. You owe me. And yeah, stay jaded. It's up, guys. I cannot wait to get it. My girl Tiff, please, please, please print it soon and ship it. All right? Okay. And Mama Pearl, I got you a shirt too. Don't worry. Don't worry. Be happy. Sarah, it is sickening, but if we don't expose these things and we don't understand what's happening, especially in Hollywood, then we can't gain traction on this and we can't learn anything from the things that are happening. How many people here in chat has had their first lady, or I'm sorry, their first crush, their first person, their first band, or first whatever superstar that OD'd or died of suspicious deaths in Hollywood? How many? I bet a lot. Camaro lady, who's to say the boyfriend didn't spike her drinks? Exactly. And that's what we're getting to. Thank you for saying that. Appreciate you. With a narcissistic mother and a toxic boyfriend, who knows? I don't know. I don't. Wolfpack, did you see the statements that her mom wrote? It's complete and utter garbage. Even the news is calling her out on that. A lot of times they wouldn't say something like that because she is a victim if she wasn't such a see you next Tuesday.
To a call for a welfare check at his family's home. Police tell ABC News that welfare check was unrelated to the Hayden Panettiere death investigation. They've stressed there were no signs of foul play at the scene where she died.
Here are the bullet points of this case. The boyfriend and his brother, why were they there? You're going to combine all of that with what the pathologist finds in the autopsy, what the toxicologist finds, and what DEA can find in reference to linking any drug.
Now, guys, I'm sure they're going to link a particular drug or 2 or 3 to her death. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you right now. Otherwise, I don't think this will be moving in the direction. And I love that you guys are posting the people. You guys see it. Lincoln Park. I don't care what anybody says. Chester Benningfield, Lincoln Park, one of my favorite bands. I saw them in concert at least 5 times, many in the Bay Area, right here in San Jose. Guys, why do people keep dying of ODs or taking their own lives? There's something going on in the water. All right, I'm telling you. And I agree, family needs to be tighter, even in Hollywood, but I don't think that's the right thing to do either. I don't think putting your child into a Hollywood situation is any good, not even social media. I see the YouTubers and the kids that grew up on YouTube getting abused by their own parents for money. It's wild, man. Guys, we're going to listen to the DA thing, but we're also going to talk about the details from the day she died and what the DEA is looking for, and then we'll continue. We got a lot today, so buckle up, buckle in. We're here.
That she had that were either illegal or not lawfully prescribed.
And along with police saying the preliminary investigation found no signs of foul play, the preliminary autopsy also found no signs of trauma with Hayden Panettiere. We did reach out to Brian Hickerson for comment through his attorney. We have not yet heard back, guys.
Okay, Trevor, thank you.
Well, we heard back now, and it was just a bullshit story. It was basically the same statement everybody else gives you. Wait for the investigation to come out. You'll see, right? Hey, Gudrun from Iceland, what's up? How you doing, my friend? Glad you caught alive. All right, from the day she died, okay? We're making our way to or through this. New details from the day she died, and then we're going to get into the DEA investigation, and then we're going to get into not only text messages from Hayden's ex-boyfriend, but also will he be charged for the drugs that were in her system that he handed over to law enforcement. And how could you even say that? How could you hand law enforcement a bag of pills or drugs and then say you had nothing to do with it? It doesn't make any kind of sense. I love that you guys are putting your people in here that passed away because, guys, it's just they don't get enough time. And I know many people say, well, that's their fault. They had it all, and yet they still did this. Well, guess what? They didn't have it all, because having it all doesn't mean that you have money or a Camaro or whatever. That's not having it all. All right? That's not at all. And when people start to see that, then, well, they probably won't. So never mind. Okay? Because people make up lies about those who tell the truth. Now, Hayden was telling the truth. The last 3 months she had been on that tour, she was spilling a tell-all, and she was telling the truth. But those that tell the truth get lied on because you don't have anything to dig up on them, right? So you tell the truth and they tell lies, and people don't even look into them. We got a bunch of mindless minions out there. Man, I'm glad y'all aren't mindless minions. Let me hit play. I dropped my vape and I'll be right back.
I would do anything if I could forgive myself.
It became this horrible cycle. The doctor told me that if I didn't stop drinking, I'd be dead within 5 years.
The coroner's office tells ET Hayden's body has been released and transferred to a mortuary chosen by her family. No word yet on funeral plans, but we're told the investigation remains active and ongoing. This is video of police in Greenville, South Carolina, outside the family home of Hayden's boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, at 10:11 a.m. No one was apparently home, and the officers left. The property is about 5 miles away from where Hayden was found unresponsive by police around 1:50 Sunday afternoon.
Cardiac arrest. Overdose. CPR is in progress.
And we're learning more about the final hours before Hayden's death. Sources tell TMZ she was found unresponsive by Zach Hickerson, the brother of her on and off boyfriend Brian, who was reportedly asleep in another bedroom.
I miss Hayden every day.
It appears Hayden passed away sitting in a chair in the living room. The scene bears an eerie resemblance to the death of her brother Jansen just 3 years ago. The 28-year-old was also found upright in a chair. An autopsy revealed he had an undiagnosed enlarged heart, and like Hayden, he also struggled with substance abuse.
I can't imagine why. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I appreciate you. Yeah, man, she was older than you. It's so sad. Cried when Matthew Perry died. You know what, Gudrun, I'm so glad that you're here. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. I'm doing my best. Let me know. But you know what? Same here. Same here. Matthew Perry was a light. He was a force to be reckoned with. And this ketamine queen took his life, essentially, right? They tricked him because he's in Hollywood, and they knew they can charge him exorbitant amounts for that ketamine. He couldn't get it anywhere else, so they overcharged him, and then they gave him the most deadliest cocktail they could. What is wrong with these people? Thank you. She needs to rest in peace, and we need to get an answer for what happened. All right, let's continue.
My buddy.
Guys.
Yeah, he was amazing.
Guys, trigger warning. This is, you guys know I'm not like an emotional kind of girl, but covering this today and going over it and finding out what happened to her, it really hurts my heart. And my eyes are getting watery watching her cry. So if you guys also feel that way, take a breath, step away, don't get triggered. It's sad. I mean, hearing her sing that song at the beginning of this with her eyes tearing, it just made me sad. You're right, Remy. You're absolutely right. And I don't think people realize that these demons look just like us, but they're not.
He's my best friend. I love that boy.
As for Hayden and Brian, they first got together in 2018, and the red flags came fast.
Make sure you're surrounded by people who bring out the best in you.
In her memoir, she summed up their relationship as
7 years of mental illness, addiction, rage, abuse, and pain.
In 2021, Brian pleaded no contest to 2 felony domestic violence charges. In one incident, he allegedly punched Hayden in the face. He was asked about it by TMZ in May.
Never in my life did I ever get taught what domestic violence was, right? Maybe
He didn't get told what domestic violence was. It's okay to punch a woman in the face and shove her against the wall and give her time to run from your phone that can cause a bunch of damage to somebody. He didn't know better. Foxy, prayers for you. Her brother just barely turned 19 when he passed. That's our 420. When we give away the 420 membership, it's in honor of Foxy's brother, Christopher. And you're right, Wolfpack. So many of these interviews, she wasn't healthy. And she didn't try to lie or hide it. She told us what she was suffering with. Yes, Chester's my favorite too. I loved him, and concerts were phenomenal. So we don't care what other people say, don't like him, all right? Just hearing him makes me want to, no, just wait. We just got started.
did at an early age, maybe I wouldn't have done what I did.
Do you have regrets in the relationship?
I mean, I went into such a dark place, man. Drugs, alcohol, abuse.
It was just a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde situation, just a drop of alcohol, and I didn't have to do anything wrong, but then they turn back into that person that you fell in love with and you sneak back in.
In 2022, that turbulent dynamic exploded into a dramatic.
Guys, did anyone see this? I downloaded this. So yeah, there's times where she seems like maybe she's also on some kind of, like Valium or whatever. This hurt my soul right here. I could not believe that this little Hayden Panettiere girl was out here fighting on the streets 40 years ago with that piece of garbage, her boyfriend. Has anyone seen that? I downloaded it. I was like, my goodness, I didn't know about any of this stuff until she passed. I only saw her as a Hollywood entertainer. I thought she's great. Her acting, she's been around forever. I agree. But you know what? Those that are above that, they fight with words, not with fists like we're seeing there. Absolutely. Those are the people that just can't function without being able to hit somebody or hurt them.
Dramatic public brawl outside Hollywood Sunset Marquis Hotel.
Brian, jail! Guys, there's like a 5-minute video of this, and she's right in the middle of all this.
In the TMZ footage,
Oh,
Brian,
there she is,
wearing
right there.
all white, is seen
There she is. There's Hayden. There's Brian. Look at this.
getting pummeled by another group. Hayden then tries to break things up, but appears to get kicked in the face.
Look at
and
that,
tossed
man.
to the pavement.
Why is she even in that? What? I really can't. Like, I could see myself being in something like that. If you see me out there in a brawl, you'll be like, all right, Gianna will be like, I could see Jay, which I don't do that, but I don't do that anymore. All right. I defend myself with my mind, not my fist. But her? What? May she rest in peace. Carrie says, I find it interesting that Brian had a court date hearing for a motion to have it charges dropped. Yeah, I'm gonna go over that. The felony wasn't dropped, it was denied, and that was days before Hayden was found deceased. I'm getting to that, but thank you, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, look at that. That's unbelievable. I can't even believe she was in that. Oh my God, this makes me mad.
Oh, I'm ready for round 2. Their toxic on and off again roller coaster went on for years. In March, they had reportedly reconciled when the two were spotted together at the airport, with Hayden using crutches due to a nerve issue in her back. Brian insisted they were just friends.
Our relationship now is, I think it's just a mutual respect thing. Just good buddies.
I was more afraid of being alone than I was with being with somebody who was physically hurting me.
As for Hayden's relationship with Brian's brother, Zach, back in 2019, the two were spotted in Manhattan holding hands, which led to rumors of a romantic relationship. Hayden's estranged mother, Leslie Vogel, tells ET there was never a romantic relationship. In 2018, Zach, who runs his own ministry, mentions the then couple during his sermon.
I'm going to talk about unforgiveness at the end. Sound like
This guy literally talks out of the side of his mouth, Lori. You nailed that one. You know, that's a saying that somebody talks out of the side of their mouth. He legitly was talking out of the side of his mouth, and a piece of garbage. I hope that he is culpable for this. Guys, I hope the fact that he was there when she died and had those damn pills in his hand and probably had a lot of the similar things that she has in her system, I hope that he gets time for that. I hope that he gets a felony and that felony follows him, even if he only gets a few years for something, right? For something that, even if it's the smallest of charge, I want to see that man get a felony. Absolutely ridiculous. He was trying to be a pastor. Hold on.
plan? Brian, I know you're, oh, Hayden, thank you. Yes, cheerleaders, I love it.
That wasn't him. That was the pastor talking to them. All right. When she was recording her latest movie, she was already, she was. They were going to do an intervention. So she was already back in a place. I believe she relapsed, but we'll find out when toxicology comes back, guys.
When it comes to Hayden reconnecting with Brian before her death, Leslie tells ET, quote, "We hoped she would distance herself from him. The fact that Brian was with Hayden at the time of her death is unsurprising, but devastating nonetheless." Interestingly, Hayden told ET her mom also kept in contact with Brian after their breakup, which contributed to their estrangement.
She was actually one of the only people who had a personal relationship with him, not a sexual one, obviously, but outside of him and I, which was just said a lot.
That says a lot that this abusive piece of garbage, Brian, did that to her for years. Her mom started that. Can you imagine? Ugh.
About the kind of person she is. I don't know how she lives with that.
Poor thing, man. She's gone way too soon, guys. Way too soon. But let's talk about her ex-boyfriend, Brian. Could he be charged for this? I think so. Let's talk about that, and then we're going to get into what the DEA has, and you know the drill. Let's get to it, guys. Thank you for being here. Do me a favor, hit the like button. It's free to do so. Also, if you see my videos, if they don't, you can't hype them right this second, but my older videos or my other videos that come out that aren't live streams, y'all can hype. It's free. I know. I didn't even realize that she had such an awful amount of toxic, disgusting people that, in my opinion, only used her. I feel like the directors and the people on the set that worked with her cared about her more than any of those people did. No, it didn't bother her mom that the piece of shit would hit her daughter and abuse her. She's like, call him up. What can I get? Fuchi so-called mother. Was that his brother? Did that say it was his brother? If so, then I guess so. I haven't looked that much into his brother. All I know is his brother, Zach, was there at the time they called 911.
Domestic violence inside Hayden Panettiere's home by this disgusting boyfriend. I mean, this guy is the lowest of the low.
And guys, we're going to go over the text messages. We're going to talk about the fact that the charges didn't get dropped. And this piece of shit was like, hey, I thought we were all good, girl. Girl, we're hanging out for your birthday. I got you, girl. You didn't drop the charges? What? I still got to deal with that? Guys, why was she hanging out with them? This woman she was on the top of the world, and yet she went back to that piece of garbage. There's a psychology there, and y'all know that. I'm not going to touch on that today because it's a whole episode, but there's a psychology behind abusive relationships and women that keep returning to them.
Oh, I cannot believe, and I'm so sad that this woman spent a big portion of the last 6-7 years with this guy. They met in 2018. By 2019, he was abusing her. By 2020, there was a criminal case against him, and he I can't remember right now whether he was found guilty or pleaded guilty. Either way, there was a guilty result. He was convicted of punching her in the face. The police saw her right after.
All right, listen, we're talking about Brian, the last person to be with her. Now, he says his brother was sleeping. So he was the one that I think probably made the 911 call. All right. I don't take anything he says as credible at all. Trotter Daughter, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you receive the membership, come on out and say hello. Trauma bond. That's part of it, I'm sure. Addiction to the abuse cycle. And when you don't have anyone else because everyone else is backstabbing you, then yeah, you're going to go to that person.
There was no question that it happened. He's admitted to it. Some jail time, some probation, and reportedly a 5-year restraining order, which neither one of them lived up to. She invited him back into her life. This is a pattern many domestic violence survivors are familiar with. And now the reporting on this case has just come out that the DEA is now involved in investigating where those drugs came from, that she reportedly had like a suitcase full of drugs with her, that there's a new report out today that 3 months ago when she was on her media tour, like, this is my victory moment, I'm together now. She was doing drugs then, that she tried to order whippets.
Yeah, she was doing weird drugs.
Nitrous oxide?
Yeah, I mean,
isn't that what you get at the dentist?
I like the fact that he says she was doing weird drugs. You know what it was, well, first of all, yeah, I believe she absolutely felt alone. She was alone, but she was surrounded by vultures, but she felt alone, and anything that she could get, she probably got her hands on. We saw her. All right. Kathleen Chu, welcome. I think you're amazing, just so you know. Well, thank you. I'll take that in all my glory. Thank you. Met many narcissists. That's why I stay single. Right. I'll leave that up for a second.
Yeah, that's like
it's
teenager, high school stuff.
Yeah, when you were kids, you'd put it in a balloon, and it's almost like sucking a helium. It'll talk like this.
Yeah.
And it lasts for like 60
I never
seconds.
got high off that. Done that to my
It's
voice.
really fast. It makes your head very
It's
light.
a 60-second.
I think we're too old. We're not the right demo.
But
clearly,
Megan, to your point, my law partner is retired Judge John Leventhal. He was the first domestic violence judge in the United States of America.
Guys, just real quick, it just made me laugh for a second. I'm getting away from the just sadness for a second. So I think it was about 2 years ago. We've lived in this house we bought it in 2008. All right. So however many years that is, 18 years. And everybody in the neighborhood pretty much lived here when they bought their houses 30 years ago. So I walk, and it just reminds me of the Whippet story. I walk in, all right, Mrs. Guilty and I pull up and we're walking in, and the neighbor comes outside and he has a big box of these metal things. And he's like, yo, Jay, you want a whippet? We're doing whippets over here. And he's on the porch drinking, and he's got this, you remember Matt, Mom? He's got these giant box of whippets. And I'm like, bro, no. I said, I'm not 15 years old. And even when I was 15, I wouldn't do that. That stuff messes up your brain. It eats up a lot. It does a lot of things that are not good. I'll stick to this vice anytime. Nicotine. All right. But that was crazy. Hey, Jay, you want some whippets? And he busts out with this giant box. Like, what are you doing? Hey, Maggie, I can't get a membership because I'm in South America. My son fell off a ladder and broke. You know what, Maggie? Prayers for you. And we will definitely try. If I could give you a membership right now, I would. This house doesn't let me, right? That's why I had to share with you. I'm just strolling in the house after having dinner with Mrs. Guilty, and Matt's like, yo, big ass box of whippets. Like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, behave yourself. Just kidding. You're good. As long as you can agree to disagree in a respectful manner, then we're good. And yeah, it's been a month. It's been a sad month, and prayers to you. I've had things going on around me too, but I don't talk about it on the show. So prayers for all of you, for anybody that needs a prayer, all right? If anyone hit my daughter, this mama bear will do everything to get her away from him. Hayden's mother looks like a fake Hollywood fame chaser. You nailed that. And you're right. I agree. You guys are still stuck on the whippets. I was like, dude, how old are you, bro? What are you doing? It was funny, though. Yo, Jay, you want some whippets? Did you just ask me what I thought you did?
25 years, 30 years ago now, where we didn't really know domestic violence because common sense would dictate if anyone punches you in the face, you're not really going to hang it. Maybe it's your brother or your sister, but besides that, you're going to get away, especially if you have means. Like a lot of women get trapped because of the finances, right? They can't leave.
Or children.
There's a child, right? There's a child and then the finances. But there is a psychological aspect to this where you get this locked in, and sometimes the women snap, and we have created a defense to murder called battered woman syndrome.
There's a whole TV series called Snapped.
Right. Yeah. I've been on it. I have. Well, not me, but my client has been on it. But yes, and it looks like that's what happened here. This woman had the means. She had the means to escape. But I guess it's the combination of the domestic violence, PTSD, and then the drug addiction.
Now, listen, I absolutely past Pam perfect. I would never in a million years blame a parent for not getting them or forcing them out of her abusive relationship. I do know that. I understand that. That is not what is happening here. In this case, her mom put her to work starting to get jobs at 8 months old. Hayden took her first job at 11 months old, and then she worked for 36 years straight. And she told her mom she doesn't want to be in a business relationship. She just wants her mom. And her mom cut ties. All right. So if your own mom can't love you unconditionally, then who the hell are you going to find that does? Instead, it's going to be acceptable for someone to punch you in the face and for you to go hang out with them after. That's unacceptable. My sons are 36 and 40. I still have the potential to, girl, yes, mama thug, yes. Again, I'm not going to share my personal stuff, but yes, and yes, all right? Hey, girl, how you doing? Tell your man I say hello. Tell me his name and I'll shout him out.
I mean, sadly, tragically led to her death.
Yes. Okay. Now, Debbie Murphy tells me via WebMD, whippets or nitrous oxide are popular inhalant drugs. You may also hear them referred to as whippets or whippets. It's the same thing. The drug gets its name from whipped cream aerosol canisters that people open to misuse the gas inside. Nitrous oxide cuts off oxygen to the brain, creating a euphoric high that lowers your mental and physical pain. All right. So I'm still not clear on how it differs from like what they give you at the dentist, but okay. I've never had it at my dentist.
It really, I think that it is. And guys, I live at the dentist. I work into the dentist. When I'm not getting tattoos, it's tattoos and then the dentist. I don't have any shame in my game. All right. I only go to places that have laughing gas. I just don't like getting work done. Well, you can get that done and be good. So don't feel bad about that. But yes, whippets are not okay. And Indy, you know what? It's okay to be alone. And I wish more people realize it's okay to be alone. It feels okay. It's okay. Just be with yourself, sit with yourself. You're not going to get bored if you're not a boring person. And people don't understand that. If only one person that is meant to love you doesn't, you're doomed, depressed because who doesn't want their mom's love and affection, right? I could be alone. I was alone last night and I was hanging out. Well, I didn't get to hang out with this dude, but I got other ones. So yeah, here's my buddy now. So I'm not alone when I'm filming with y'all. All right. There's other ones too. I got potatoes and pickles and all kinds of stuff, but that's my buddy. It's okay to be alone. It really, truly is. Love yourself and it's okay. The more you love yourself, the more people will love you too. Okay. You don't love yourself and you don't respect yourself, then it opens the door for them not to respect you or love you either. So just be okay with it. May she rest in peace. I wish we were reporting on this as an overdose and not her death. 36 years, way too young, guys.
But I've told my eyes, once I had a laser done on my knees, Ashley, you appreciate this. You know, when you age, your knees? Yeah, your skin starts to sag around your.
Oh, yeah. Crickets,
and I didn't want sagging skin on my knees. So I had this laser procedure done and they gave me the nitrous oxide. So two things. The nitrous oxide only works very briefly. It works like for like 15 seconds.
Uh-oh.
Think about this. In 2006, $20,000 equaled roughly 33 ounces of gold at spot.
Gold?
5,000 years. Birch gold. Just
that's a long ass commercial.
Diversify with. Secondly, that laser procedure worked, man.
Really?
Because the knees look so good after like.
What would your nana say about you getting your knees lasered?
Hey, why not?
She called me a stupid jackass.
She said it, not me. Nana said it, not me.
I'm just saying, this is the only time I had the nitrous oxide, which I think is what you had. Anyway, whatever. I digress. So now the DEA is involved, and this to me spells serious trouble for this boyfriend who was with her, along with his brother, when she died.
Guys, and that's a big deal today. As you can see, everything on Hayden Panettiere is about the boyfriend and the brother being there and the suspicious behavior along with the bag of medications. All right. I do like Megan too. She's got a whole 2-hour episode, but we're just going back and forth because, you know, my ex-daughter-in-law's ringtone for me is Gunpowder and Lead. Boy, do I know that song. All right. I don't know about that. Knee surgery, what? I'm just tatted everywhere. You won't even, when I get all wrinkly and stuff, guys, it's just going to be wrinkly, colorful skin. All right. And I love it.
And by the way, the reporting yesterday, we didn't do a show on this yesterday, was that they didn't call 911 to report that Hayden was there dead until 1:50 in the afternoon. And Brian, the boyfriend, was still asleep.
Yeah, it was the
according
brother.
to the reports. Okay, so you're asleep at 2:00 in the afternoon. You're doing the drugs too, in my opinion. That's what's likely to come out. And you tell me whether, Dave, the DEA getting involved in this telegraphs, federal charges may be under consideration.
Yeah, look what happened to Matthew Perry. The DEA got involved there because they're going to go find the source of the drugs. It used to be the law enforcement officers would just say, okay, it's another a drug abuser.
Now, guys, I think honestly, and I love hearing this because I think he's right. Even in chat, I could see people saying, you know, it's another sad Hollywood situation, and then we can just write it off. But I think law enforcement has realized these stores are going to give them more money. All right. Justice is not really justice. When we talk about justice, it's not what you think it is. Justice is not going through the system for 5 years and then getting a not guilty plea or guilty by reason of insanity or whatever nowadays. That's not it. That is not justice. And we can't keep writing these people off as just another OD. These people have too much money and they don't know what to do with themselves. All right. It's all good, guys. Stay cool in chat, okay? Be cool. Thank you. We're all in the family. We don't attack anyone on the channel, all right? Again, if you don't like each other, just block each other, all right? I've got hundreds and hundreds of blocked people nowadays. Not letting that toxicity in, guys. Just not going to happen. I love myself more than that. And y'all should too.
Who's died nowadays, we look at the chain and try to find the ones who sold them the drugs. The problem is a lot of people who are in the throes of addiction have a number of drug dealers on speed dial. So it can be tough. But now you have the boyfriend who was involved, and he's got a criminal past. He's got a rap sheet. And so I think there's a lot more to it. I don't think this will be the end of this investigation. And one more thing, Megan, maybe you wouldn't have had saggy knees if your mom hadn't smoked during pregnancy.
Once again, back to my mother's decisions. I mean, most of us born in the 70s have a picture with our mothers with their big pregnant bellies, like resting a martini glass.
Yeah, or with a cigarette in their hand.
With a cigarette.
With a cigarette in their hand.
And it was all good back then, right? We're still alive. Actors and actresses are absolutely human too. And I know sometimes we feel like they're untouchable, or we see what they have and we get envy, right? We get envy. Oh my God, I can't believe their pool is the size of my entire house, or they walk on gold, right? But that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, guys. 75% of people that win the lottery end up being in worse shape financially and even emotionally than they ever were before they got the money. Did y'all know that? Money doesn't mean shit. All right. Money does, and it's great, and it pays the bills and it gives you gas. But 75% of people, and I'm saying that win the lotto, 75% of people that get money that they didn't expect in mass amounts of, that happens to the same thing. All right. What's up, kittens in crime? How you doing, my friend?
Makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So, you tell me, Ashley, would you be worried? I feel like this guy's defense attorney who represented him in his domestic violence cases is probably calling him saying, keep your mouth shut.
Oh, yeah.
Don't talk to the feds. Don't be helpful.
Definitely.
And there was a report just yesterday that cops were seen. They're now, I guess he and the brother are reportedly now staying with their mother, like their family of origin, Betty Ellison. And yesterday at 8:20 in the morning, page 6 of the New York Post were reporting exclusively that cops were seen sniffing around the home. They came, they knocked, nobody answered, although people were inside. They left. They were reportedly conducting a, quote, welfare check. And then I think they went back and did it again. So they're definitely sniffing around there.
Oh, yeah. If I was Brian, the boyfriend, I would be really worried. I'd first be worried about his brother. So his brother, Zach, is a preacher and has apparently had.
There you go. There's a connection. We got a preacher man. All right. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. And I forgot to gift a membership. Let me gift one right now. Then we're going to listen to the text messages and find out what the DEA plans to do in this case. They absolutely had Narcan. They absolutely had Narcan near her body. What the police report says. It was there. Did they use it? We'll have to wait and find out. All right. There you go. And 90% of NFL players lose all their money. It's because most of them came from urban situations. They were too good, too fast, and they lost it all. They don't know. People don't know what to do when they have money and fame coming at them so fast that you can't even understand who's coming at you and what their motives are. It's just simple. All right, let me gift a membership.
Strong feelings for Hayden in his life, whether or not they dated. There's been some rumors about that, but the reports are that he was just distraught when they found her. So if he cared for her that much, and if he thinks his brother had something to do with her death, I'd be really worried about the police talking to him from a defense perspective. I'd also be worried about the DEA poking around because they're strong. And the DEA, when they start asking questions, people start talking. People get real scared. And so if he gave her these drugs, he had to get them from somewhere. He didn't make them, he got them from somewhere. And folks are willing to talk when the feds come knocking. I wouldn't be as worried about the state charges because most likely he probably was using the drugs with her. I mean, like you said, he was sleeping till noon. And there's actually defense in Tennessee state court if they have their own statute that you can be prosecuted if someone dies.
South Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And so in South Carolina, they've got a statute where you can be prosecuted if someone dies while, they've basically taken drugs that you gave them. But if you did it together, that's a defense. So, he might have.
So that could be a part of the defense, but we still got to look at who supplied those drugs. Now, remember, there are people in the industry that trust their drug dealer, right? We've got Michael Jackson, we've got Matthew Perry, and probably hundreds of others that we can talk about right now that trusted their dealer and didn't make it through. All right. If you received a membership, come on out and say hello.
Defense to that.
So crazy.
But the feds, I'd be really worried about.
That's so wacky.
As
long as you shoot yourself up too, or take the drugs as well, then you can get out of jail.
It's a weird concept.
But so here's the report from TMZ this morning, Arthur. Police are not satisfied Hayden Panettiere's death was a tragic overdose of prescribed meds because they are trying to determine if there could be criminal conduct behind it. Law enforcement sources involved in the case tell TMZ they are conducting a death investigation to see if some illegality is behind her death. They said, Wednesday, they went to the family home of her boyfriend, Brian Hickerson.
No, so listen here. Brian's brother, Zach, was seen in other pictures. He's friends with Hayden. He was friends with her. I saw a picture where they were out in public holding hands, and the media came, and there was all these rumors about her in a relationship with his brother. The brother's not bad. And as a matter of fact, the law enforcement that wrote the police report said that Zach was much more disturbed about what happened to Hayden than Brian ever was. The only time that he even reacted like he was unhinged was when they pronounced her dead. Okay, we still don't know. We still don't know exactly what that means. Yeah, most dealers don't, but here's the thing, Past Pan Perfect. They get greedy and they want more and more and more. They want you to do more and more and more. And especially if they know you have money and you need that discreetness. Well, guess what, guys? They'll give you that discreetness for a hefty price. Fun fact, you can hit the like button twice on your phone and your TV. Thank you, Gianna.
And it would appear police want information from Brian regarding any circumstance that might be connected to her death. And then, my team went through and there's a bunch of possible charges that could be brought federally, which would explain the DEA's interest in all of this. If Brian Hickerson provided the drugs, I mean, the assistant who was getting the drugs from Matthew Perry got ultimately sentenced to 41 months in prison.
Hey, I'll be happy with that.
That's a great example of how it's kind of easier to find who gets the drugs. What Dave said is right on. A lot of these guys, unfortunately, I've been involved with deceased families as well. They want answers, right? And then when you eventually get into their phone, there's like 8 numbers, there's 10 numbers. And yes, you try to go back and see, but then how do you prove, well, the drugs he got from John on Tuesday, and then he got drugs from Jose.
Oh, trust me, they're going to find out who Jose got the drugs from on Tuesday. The DEA is not playing, all right? They've already got, in my opinion, text messages, and they're already digging up digital forensics, all right? All right. I hope you're feeling okay, Kathy. Guys, go sub up to KHC Crime Lab, if you would, if you haven't already, all right? Let's continue.
On Wednesday, how do you know which drugs he took and which ones had fentanyl and which ones didn't have fentanyl? So as a prosecutor, Dave can tell you, it's very hard to eventually prosecute someone. With Perry, it was that all of those different drug dealers were going through one person, right? There was a bottleneck and it went through them, and you were able to much more easily prove he's the guy who actually handed them the drugs. But I got to tell you, Megan, I don't know if I'll ask Ashley and Dave, overdosing on Whippets is not something I don't even think it's possible.
That wasn't it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it causes brain damage before death.
The report about that May ingestion or attempted ingestion of drugs said it was both Whippets and alcohol, which she also shouldn't have been having if she was a recovering alcoholic, as she was portraying. So it was multiple attempts to imbibe some sort of substance to, get a high at a time when she was on this book tour.
Yep.
Thanks for watching this clip. If you're new here,
and guys, it sucks because there are a lot of videos when she was on the book tour, and she doesn't seem so sober to me, and that sucks because she probably wasn't. Right? She probably wasn't. All right, DEA joins, and then we're gonna go over the text messages and why Brian Hickerson is being looked at and what his motive is or might be. Okay, he can use it all he wants. He can use that excuse all he wants. I was doing it with her. It's okay, whatever. But bottom line, when the DEA comes in and they start investigating who, what, when, where, and why, that's a whole different story. All right, let's continue. DEA joins. And I think there's a clip of Hayden in here. And in this clip, she does look like she's either high off of something or possibly maybe she took an anxiety pill. You'll see. I don't want to point those out, though, and I hate to because we do know that she was struggling with this addiction. And she obviously was, because ultimately she went into cardiac arrest over an OD, allegedly. But we'll find out.
Can see here on the screen, we are giving you that little look inside the courtroom.
Tupac
trial in this day investigation regarding, and Chelsea Torres now here on the stream with the very latest for us. Chelsea.
Hi there, Marla. Well, we now know that the Drug Enforcement Administration will be helping out in this investigation to the 36-year-old actress's death. Now, we know that paramedics, when they arrived on scene, they found Panettiere unresponsive and in cardiac arrest. This all happened Sunday afternoon in Greenville, South Carolina. A preliminary autopsy report that was sent to Fox News Digital does show that there were no signs of trauma when Panettiere died. And even in a police report, Panettiere's on and off again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother were at the apartment and called 911.
Now, mind you guys, there's not going to be trauma on the outside if you're ODing, unless you fell down or something like that. So just on the surface level, we thought Matthew Perry drowned because he was ODing on his whatever. I never in a million years thought they would do that. Clark, big hugs to you. I just sent you a text message. Love you too. I hope you look much better. I hope you're doing well. Big hugs, my friend. Big hugs. You don't want to get me on fire, because once I get going, I just don't stop. All right, let's continue. Like the Energizer Bunny.
One after finding the actress unresponsive. Now, the report also says Hickerson gave officers a bag of medicine Panettiere was using at the time. And just weeks before the actress's death, she actually spoke publicly about her past struggles with opioid addiction, alcoholism, and even postpartum depression. Now, ultimately leading to her giving up custody of her daughter, who she shares with former boxer.
And guys, that's pretty rare too. When I heard that I want a text message. But Clark has been here for almost as long as Sadie's mama has. These women sat there like this watching me when I didn't even know what I was talking about. So I do have loyalty. Y'all know Leos are loyal to a fault. All right. But I hear you. Shout out to Dave. All right. Let's continue.
Vladimir Klitschko. Earlier this year, Panettiere, known for her roles in Remember the Titans and the show Heroes, did talk to Fox News Digital about her past and growing up in the spotlight. This is what she had to say.
Criticism in any form is a hard.
Now, before you say anything, yes, I know what you're thinking. I'm thinking it too. We know that she ultimately passed away of cardiac arrest from an OD, right? So more than likely she was not sober during some of these interviews. All right. Sober could mean anything, though. It could mean that she had anxiety and popped a Xanax and it got a little too out of control for her. We just don't know. All right. But I'm not gonna say bad things about her. I just see her struggle, and we're seeing it play out, what she went through in the last 6 months, the last 3 months, the last 36 years. All right. Whippets. The reason one cannot find the sprayer type whipped cream, and yeah, in a small town, you got that right, but not out here. You can just buy them. You can go to the store and buy that
pill to swallow, and especially when you're at these very vulnerable ages, where you're already, struggling and picking yourself apart and going through all of these changes physically, mentally, emotionally.
I mean, I know you guys hear the slurring, the pausing. You can see little ticks that she has when she's talking. Hey, Thomas. And also, as far as the signing papers away, signing her kid away, that's rare. That is a rare thing that doesn't happen in Hollywood very often, because somebody like her has a ton of money and they can pay for a lawyer. They can have a full-time nanny or 10, right? So it's not particularly something that you see often in Hollywood. This is pretty rare for me, what I'm seeing. And she did because, and I believe her ex, whatever, I don't know if they are married or it was just I don't know if they were fiancés. I know it's a baby dad. I know that. He's a good guy as far as I'm concerned, what I've noticed. And that, there you go. But I mean, I don't want to pick her apart, but I see it.
Now, Greenville police did go to Hickerson's house on Wednesday morning. They say that was for a welfare check. However, no one answered the door. We do know that TMZ is also reporting that Narcan was found there at that apartment where Panettiere died. Marla?
Yep. And then right here on the stream, we were able to report that breaking news within the last hour or so from TMZ that Brian Hickerson, her on again, off again boyfriend, finally broke his silence. I'm not sure if you heard that reporting, but he basically, through his attorney, came out and said, as the police have been reporting, and I'm paraphrasing, no foul play was involved, basically making the statement that, yes, I was there. My brother was there. He says he was asleep, but he is saying that he had nothing to do with her death. Obviously, we're waiting for the toxicology reports. What does this mean that the DEA is now involved in this investigation, Chelsea?
Yeah, well, I think it's very interesting. We've also seen the DEA get involved with LAPD during Matthew Perry's death, which has...
And I think we're going to start seeing this even more. Now, earlier I was talking about how justice isn't justice so much. It really isn't, in my opinion, the way it lays out. And the perpetrators seem to have more rights than any of the victims ever do. All right. And you guys know that. You see it now. You see it every day. All right. You see that these victims are being re-victimized on the stand, on social media, what have you. And up until now, I think they didn't realize, DEA, FBI, local police, I don't think they realize how much of a moneymaker that really is when you go after these Hollywood people, right? All right, let's continue. Thank you so much, Jay. You're always on fire. Love you, mods and crime crew. Love you too, my friend. I hope you got my message. And I've been reading all your messages, but you know, I'm a woman of a little bit of words. You'll say 10 things and I can sum it all up in like 5 words, but I love you. All right, let's continue.
Ended up leading to 5 arrests. Not only that, but the DEA was also involved in Mac Miller and Michael Jackson's death investigations also. So this is good news for her family, for people who support her, just in the sense that there's at least more to this investigation of what could be done. We do know, and this is also just because Panettiere had publicly announced this in many interviews in the past few years, but also in her book that she just released 3 months ago, of how she was dealing with these drugs, opioid addiction in general, and just alcoholism. And so I think the fact, even in that police report, I was reading that earlier today, and it did show that Hickerson did give a bag of medicine to the police. So I think it's just interesting to show that there could be a lot more that comes out to this. Of course, we already know from the coroner's office that, yes, they said no foul play was involved in her death, but we'll find out more as more information comes out from that autopsy investigation, the toxicology report, and then more from what the DEA also has to say.
And do we yet know who actually called 911?
Nope.
Yeah, no, we don't have that answer. You know, even when I was looking at the police report, I didn't exactly see specifically who, whether it was Hickerson or his brother who called, but they were both there, and they were both the ones. And that, I think what's also interesting, Marla, is that in the police report, the officer actually mentioned that the brother of Brian Hickerson, Zach, he was emotional the entire time when first responders are trying to get Panettiere to see if she is actually dead or not. And it wasn't until they announced that she was deceased is when Brian actually became emotional. So I find that fascinating, just that they would even put that in the police report.
Right.
But again, you know, as of right now, those.
I want to tell you, it's fascinating, but people, when you hear about a case like this, any case, whether it's high profile or not, when law enforcement puts something in that report about the person or people that are there and they find them suspicious, you're going to get an investigation. And especially how many people are focused on Hayden's death and her being sober and the things that Brian did and the charges and the text messages and the threats. And why the hell was she still hanging out with him days before her birthday, giving him the power to even have that damn bag? Right? Who knows? What are we talking here, chat? I'm going to stay out of that conversation. I'm going to say hit the like button, subscribe, guys, get a membership. All right, support the goal. Let's continue. And thank you for those that are. For those that can't, please don't apologize.
Finite details we're still trying to find out.
All right, very good. As always, we appreciate your reporting. Chelsea Torres with Fox. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this was awesome. They've got a 10-minute interview on Fox, and it didn't give us half as much as this local Fox station did. Now we're going to talk about Brian Hickerson's motive, the text messages, the domestic violence charges, and the threats, and the prison time he was facing, that she was alive. Also, I don't know if you guys knew, Neutrogena apologized to Hayden for the treatment of her they cut her out because, I don't know, her drug use or whatever she was going on in the media, and they apologize. All right. Dictation. Hey, Inquisitive B. I don't know if I said hi to you, but hello. All right, let's continue. Let's get to this. Threats, text messages, domestic violence, and why the DEA and law enforcement are looking at this piece of trash. That's his booking photo, by the way, guys. That's a prior booking photo. There's so many clickbait articles about this. Don't be fooled. Lil Red, shout out my girl. Good to see you. Postpartum. Was it because of the postpartum? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Thank you for letting me know. All right, let's get into this. I will make sure you guys have these up there.
Case, and there is new.
In case you need to read them. Bed crime stories is great, but I have to speed it up because, well, it's bed crime stories, so it's real chill. All right, I'm gonna speed it up and put the text up here, whatever you call that, the subtitles. Yeah, subtitles. All right, let me turn it up and let's get to it.
Info. We learned yesterday that the DEA is part of a multi-agency investigation into the death of Hayden Panettiere that comes from TMZ. Sources tell TMZ that the DEA is working alongside
the
investigations by the Greenville Police Department and Greenville County Coroner's Office. Clearly, they believe there was something involved in Hayden's death that requires the Drug Enforcement Agency's expertise. If she died using some illicit substance, they're going to want to know where it came from and the person who sold it. Welcome to Bed Crime Stories podcast. I'm your host, T. Do me a favor, please subscribe. It's free, and please.
It is free. Go sub up to Bed Crime Stories. I do love that lady. She's up to point, up to par. I think she's on TikTok too. Anyway, it's all in my description. Inquisitive P, thank you. I really didn't know this actress, but you make everything so interesting. Thank you, though, for your heart goes out. Mine does too. And the more I look into this, the sadder that I get about the whole situation. It could have been avoided, obviously. I mean, we can say that with all of the ODs. There you go. Come on, Tiff. Break those muscles through that shirt. Let's get some Stay Jaded. Let's get some Stay Jaded merch out there, huh? All right, check this out. Now, a lot of people were talking about this at the beginning. In time, my friends, in time. All right, this was the gentleman that she was working with on her last project that wanted to do an intervention. They realized that something was not right with her. All right. So a lot of people had been talking about, thinking about what have you. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. That's the Griff. Okay, hold on. Filmmaker Griff. Let's go.
Of her final films revealed that her team discussed staging an intervention before her death. The director claimed that the actress was, quote, fighting to stay sober, end quote, while filming A Breed Apart. That film was released in 2025. Apparently, Hayden brought her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, to the set. The director said, quote, when we wrapped, I stayed in touch with her team, and what eventually got determined was that she might need an intervention, and I was asked to participate. I said yes. That intervention did not happen, at least that I'm aware of. I wasn't leading the charge on it. It wouldn't have been appropriate of me. I wasn't in South Carolina. I don't know what happened, but what I will say is my opinion, and it's about what I saw on my own set. Somebody fighting to stay sober and who deserved better company.
Now, this comes directly from an article. I saw it on People and TMZ and everywhere else. All right. So we're just going here. Yeah, we're not talking about politics. Sometimes we get out of sort. Let's just get back into it, guys. Yes, Kathy, you do need a stay jaded. I'm always going to stay jaded. All right. 10-minute recording the other day. I forgot, Jay, when you got time, check my 10-minute. Okay, no problem. Can you send that to me, which one you're referring to? I've got hundreds of emails that I have not been able to get to. Appreciate it. Me too. My goodness. I don't even think we realized how much we actually grew up with her. And if you didn't grow up with her, your kids grew up with her. All right. Her voice in cartoons, she was everywhere.
Around them than what I observed. I was very lucky to work with Hayden. I wish he was still here, end quote. So I'd really like to know what he observed when it came to Brian Hickerson on that set. He doesn't say. We also have input from actress Ruby Rose, who released text messages allegedly from Hayden, who was venting about her mother, Leslie Vogel's cruelty. Rose took to Threads to share the screenshots while she was responding to a Huffington Post story about Vogel's reaction to Hayden's sudden death. Here's what the text said. And again, it is from someone named Hayden. It doesn't say Hayden Panettiere. I was sobbing over her cruelty yesterday, thinking, my God, I'm 26.
All right, just real quick before we get into this, this is Ruby Rose. There's actually a whole article out there about what Ruby Rose said as well. And if you don't know who that is, then you should. You're good, MM Clark. Thank you for apologizing. You don't have to do that, but thank you for that. You know, we don't want to get anyone upset about politics or, you know, any of that. It's just, I don't need anybody upset with me or anybody else at this point right now. Maybe another day, though, I'll say, MM Clark, what do you got? And then we can debate and we can agree to disagree. But thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Okay, so Ruby Rose, does everybody know who that is? All right, let's continue. If not, you should. Ruby Rose to Hayden. Okay, let's listen.
And she can still cause this kind of pain. I'm her only child left, and this is how she wants to handle the situation, end quote. Now, prior to that message, the person Hayden was writing to wrote to her, it's an unnatural position to be placed in because they did not act or behave like mothers. So we are wounded from them, but the idea of a mother is still so powerful to us. Okay, so now on to the main topic. Today we need to talk about a part of Hayden's story that I don't think has been fully explained. Because when you hear that her former boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, was arrested for DV, then later spent a relatively short amount of time in jail, you might assume, okay, so the charges probably weren't that serious.
And that's not the case, guys. That's why this is important today to talk about. Law enforcement, DEA, they're all investigating the situation. What are they looking for? Right? This goes back to 2018, and we thought, oh, this is over. That was in the past, but it's not, and it wasn't. And this guy has a motive. All right? So listen up here, and you can see the times that you could see a lot of pictures with him and her over the last 8 years. You can see how much she's changed and grown, and we've heard a lot about it, where this guy, he's just been a loser the entire time. He tells us that he didn't know better. He wasn't taught that it's not okay to hit a woman. It's not okay to do domestic violence. It's okay, right?
Oh, no. At one point, Brian Hickerson was facing 8 criminal counts in LA. 7 of them were felonies, and prosecutors said that if he were convicted on everything, he could face a maximum sentence of 10 years and 8 months in prison. And that wasn't even his only legal problem, because over in Wyoming, Brian was also accused of trying to intimidate Hayden into backing away from another DV prosecution, allegedly contacting her despite restrictions, sending her videos containing potentially embarrassing material.
And guys, she was with him hanging out for her birthday. All right. Her birthday wasn't yet. It was coming up. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie says, in my opinion, I think that Narcan was found in the apartment because, in my opinion, the brother used it on Brian. That's why brother was upset when they couldn't revive Hayden, when medical support couldn't revive Hayden. Possibly. Either way, the Narcan points to the fact that they were doing or using drugs that very weekend. All right. Either way, but this investigation, it just started. So let's take a look at who has the biggest motive. What's up, KB? The 30 Joules. Appreciate you, Maggie. Oh, thank you, my friend. Thank you guys for all the support. Mab, we've got a strong man in the house now. Mab's here. What's up, buddy? All right, let's continue. This guy's a piece of trash. The more and more I read about him and hear about him, I'm like, why was she with this guy? And this was the last person she was spending time with before she died. This guy. Sucks, man.
And using threatening language. Wow, that makes me wonder if he has some sort of video of intimate acts maybe with her that he was threatening to put out into the world. Here's one of the messages that investigators documented. It said, "Time to go to war, I guess." That was from Brian Hickerson. So, excuse me, sir, you are already facing a DV case, domestic B, if you know what I'm talking about. Perhaps this is not the ideal moment to announce that you're going to war with the witness, your girlfriend, because witness intimidation can become an entirely new crime all by itself. So today I want to explain exactly what Brian Hickerson was accused of doing to Hayden, what those messages reportedly said, what charges prosecutors actually filed, and this is the fascinating legal part. What might have happened if the original cases had proceeded to trial instead of ending in plea deals and
Now, again, guys, remember this. He can still be charged, right? There's lots of charges that he can be facing with just holding that bag of medication and having Narcan right there in the room. Just being in the presence of her, he can be arrested and charged for that. All right. That's why, in my opinion, he lawyered up. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the legalities and what can happen. Felicia, her birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday. I know she would be a Leo. She's a Leo. Damn, man. Happy birthday, Hayden. May she rest in peace, you guys. Hey, Joanne, you made it. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. All right, let's take a look into this. I didn't realize this until today. And Bed Crime Stories came out with like 5 episodes today, longer, shorter, but this one hit. All right.
Missiles. Before we go any farther, one legal correction. You sometimes hear people say Hayden dropped the charges. Technically, victims don't drop criminal charges. Prosecutors do. What a victim can do is refuse to cooperate. She can decline to testify. She can tell prosecutors she doesn't want the case pursued. And yes, that can make a DV prosecution much more difficult. But once somebody is arrested, the criminal case is the government versus the defendant, not Hayden versus Brian. Let's go back to the beginning. Hayden and Brian began dating in 2018. Then in May 2019, police responded after an incident involving the couple. According to reporting based on the criminal case, officers observed redness and marks on Hayden's body. Prosecutors subsequently charged Brian with felony DV and alleged that he had struck Hayden in the face hard enough to make her dizzy. Such a nice guy. A judge issued a criminal protective order requiring Brian to stay away from Hayden and prohibiting any contact with her. That protective order was not just symbolic, it legally barred him from contacting her in any form. But what makes this case even more complicated is what was happening in real life at the same time. According to reporting from the Daily Mail and other outlets, Hayden was living in an LA condo complex where the situation became so concerning.
Now, guys, I don't think Narcan was on hand. I think the Narcan that was on hand wasn't usable for whatever she OD'd from, which hopefully at some point next 2-3 months when toxicology comes out, we'll find out if she had 5 times a lethal dose of fentanyl or whatever, right? But maybe they tried to use it and it just simply didn't work, right? Most of the time when you have medications like that, especially if they're prescribed medications, it's not they ask you to get it. They make you get it. They say keep this on hand in case you OD over that. But if you're doing uppers and downers, we don't know if she's doing uppers and downers or what. And she was coming off of being sober, which is more likely to OD at that time. So using it or not, it just shows that they knew that there was drug usage there. Okay, it was there. They maybe tried to use it. We don't know. We're just not sure just yet. Right?
Homeowners Association reportedly took unusual security measures. Neighbors of Hayden's described tension in the building, and the HOA allegedly posted warnings with Brian Hickerson's photo. Get this, instructing residents and staff not to allow him into the property under any circumstances. Some residents reportedly said they were afraid of Hickerson returning to the building, and management treated his potential presence as a security concern. So this wasn't a private relationship anymore. This was a situation where a residential building was reportedly trying to actively prevent contact between a resident and her former partner. By September of 2019, prosecutors told the judge they wanted the original case dismissed. The LA District Attorney's Office confirmed that the dismissal was without prejudice, meaning prosecutors weren't necessarily declaring that nothing had happened. Reporting at the time indicated prosecutors did not have the witnesses they needed, with sources saying Hayden was not participating in the prospective trial. And that distinction matters a whole lot. A dismissed case does not automatically mean an allegation was proven false. It means prosecutors concluded that they could not or would not move forward with the evidence and witnesses available to them.
And if Hayden said, I don't want to testify against him, let's drop it, that's going to hinder it as well. Now, she didn't have the right to say, I don't want you to prosecute him, because he can't do that. Once a prosecutor picks up a case, that's it. That's all. All right. But I did not know it was still lingering. And I didn't know that Brian was sending her threatening messages prior to her hanging out with him and putting her life in his hands, essentially. The fact that he was carrying her bag of whatever means he had it and knew about it, right? But why is always there mystery crime? Why is it always drugs in these, right? Mysteries. She flew to his town where he lived. Guarantee you he got her DR, and those are what killed her. Purposefully or not, he needs to be held accountable. I'm going to leave that up for a minute because that's the exact way that I feel. Just breathe. 110%. Even if he didn't do anything intentional, that right there. All right. That's it. That's all. All right. Let's continue.
So the criminal protective order disappeared. The case disappeared. But of course, the situation between Hayden and Brian did not. Fast forward to February 14th, 2020, Valentine's Day, which is supposed to involve flowers.
Happy Valentine's Day. I just punched you in the face. Sorry, I didn't learn any better. Agreed, Mo. Absolutely. It is. And it's hard because you see people, you see these actors and and celebrities, what have you, and you think they're on top of the world. And they are, but not at the same time, right? Again, money doesn't give you anything that it seems Hayden was looking for.
chocolate, maybe fighting about where you're going to have dinner. Instead, cops were called to a private residence in Jackson, Wyoming. According to court documents, Hayden told authorities that Brian had been throwing her around during an argument, throwing her around, and then struck her with a closed fist on the right side of her face. The police described her face as red and swollen. She also reportedly had a scrape and swelling on her hand. Hayden had locked Brian outside by the time the deputies arrived. Brian was arrested for domestic B, is what I'm going to call it, and was also accused of interfering with a police officer. He was then released on bond. I really hope that wasn't Hayden who did that for him. According to court-related reporting, Brian allegedly began trying to communicate with Hayden in March of 2020, and by late June, investigators described those communications as becoming significantly more direct and threatening. The communications reportedly involved phone calls, text messages, and video clips.
Are you referring to the Just Breathe? Welcome. It's all good. No apologies. Y'all can come in and I'll recap for you. I think you're referring to the TMZ interview where he talks about throwing a phone at her and he gave her time to run. Are you referring to that? Because we definitely been watching bits and pieces of that since the last episode I did on Monday. But yes, if that's what you're referring to, let me know. Hey Cheryl, welcome. I'm so grateful to see you covering this. It's awful so young. I've been a fan of hers for a long time, and I'm 62. Very talented and young, beautiful woman. What a loss. I agree. 110%. Listen, she's a household face, okay? I didn't do research ever into this and didn't know about the tragic things that happened in her life until now, and that sucks. But yes, I agree. I think everybody, even if they don't think that they knew her, guys, she was the voice behind many of the cartoons that your children still watch to this day. Yes, Mab, that guy needs an ass whooping by a real man. Where are you at, Mab?
Hayden's attorney eventually brought them to the attention of law enforcement. Investigators said Brian appeared to be using embarrassing information about Hayden as leverage. Bingo. 4 short video clips were reportedly involved. The implication, according to investigators and sources familiar with the case, was essentially this: back away from these charges, or potentially embarrassing material about you, Hayden, could become public. One source familiar with the investigation said Brian threatened to release videos of Hayden if the charges were not dropped. Brian denied those allegations at the time. Unfortunately, the full text message conversations have not been publicly released in verified court documents, so we don't have everything that Brian said in those threatening texts. But one message was documented by investigators. Brian allegedly identified himself in a communication and wrote, "Time to go to war, I guess." Witness intimidation. Wyoming law makes it a felony to use force or threats to influence, intimidate, or discourage a witness in a criminal case.
So what's better? Invite her for a birthday shenanigan and give her a mystery bag of medication. All right, I agree. 110%. We got to watch that after, because this brawl that was on TMZ, I feel like that should have been an eye-opener at that time. Mab, please stay here. We're going to watch that after, because I know that you're going to want to see this piece of garbage man out there brawling with this woman, this tiny woman. And she's not frail. She's a kick-ass woman, but she should have never, ever had to go through any of that. And this, I can't even believe it. I didn't know anything about it. All right. TMZ interview with the ex was just sick. He had a weird smirk the whole time. Yep. Agreed. And he said he didn't know better because nobody taught him that domestic violence isn't okay. All right. I dropped that number there. All right. If you're experiencing domestic violence, please call 1-800-799-SAFE, or you can text START to 88788. I'll leave that up there. All right.
And the maximum penalty, up to 10 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Police ultimately accused Brian of intimidating Hayden as a witness. A felony warrant was issued, and he later surrendered in Wyoming in August 2020. 8 counts. On July 16th, 2020, prosecutors in Los Angeles charged Brian Hickerson with 8 counts involving multiple alleged incidents with Hayden. Several were felonies. 1 was a misdemeanor. The charges included 4 felony counts of corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant, 2 felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 misdemeanor battery count, 1 felony count of dissuading a witness. The alleged incidents spanned 2019 and 2020. And yes, the deadly weapon allegations included things like a garage floor and stairs, based on the theory that they were used in a way capable of causing serious injury. Brian's bail was set at $320,000.
No, but this has been an ongoing domestic violence situation. They didn't drop anything. I'm just finding out now that he was actually threatening her because they didn't drop it and there was no deal and they were hanging out, and he's like, dude, you're really going to make me go to jail after all this? Right? And then life was in his hands at the end when law enforcement or first responders came. It was all up to him. All right. Allegedly, his brother was sleeping. So that only puts one other person right there, him, that made the 911 call and ultimately was doing whatever he was with the Narcan. I really hope they tested this jack off. All right. I really do. I really hope that they gave him a test or something, because he's lawyered up and it's too late if they didn't. And hopefully he did, because I think he might try to use that as a defense. Oh, we were both getting high and, you know.
He pleaded not guilty. Then came a plea deal. On April 20th of 2021, Brian pleaded no contest to 2 felony counts of injuring a spouse or girlfriend. That would be Hayden. The remaining charges, including assault and witness intimidation allegations, were dismissed. He was sentenced.
Listen, I'm not saying that the brother was sleeping. I absolutely wasn't there. But on all the articles that I've read, this man or piece of garbage said his brother was sleeping. So I don't know why. I don't know why he said that or where it's coming from. But, you know, if you have a link that says something different, please let me know. All right. Who's the guy? Anyone have the DL on him? Which one? Are you talking about Brian? The Brian Hickerson, her ex-boyfriend that has abused her over the last 8 years? That one? All right, let's continue. Yeah, he's the one that said that, which we can't believe anything this guy says. So why would he say his brother was sleeping? I don't know.
To 45 days in county jail with credit for time served, plus probation and mandatory programs. Wyoming later resolved its case with suspended jail time as part of a broader agreement. And there's a very important development that occurred in 2026. Brian later attempted to reduce his felony convictions to misdemeanors. He did not want those convictions on his permanent record. I have a feeling that this past criminal history was messing with his financial life, perhaps his career. Hard to get a job when you have that in your background. Violent felonies. Just days before Hayden's death in August of 2026, a judge denied Brian's request to reduce his felony convictions to misdemeanors. So those felony convictions were left in place. That might have pissed him off in a very big way. It had to have disappointed him at the very least. But a guy like Brian Hickerson, in my opinion, would blame all of this on Hayden, not on himself. Of course, Brian Hickerson's DV history doesn't 100% establish.
Now, there's an entire psychology behind this map. I don't know, but it's there. I mean, the domestic violence is a huge problem in the United States in general, and it's trauma bonding. It's when you look at the actual situation, you go deeper on what Hayden, how her life was, and who loved her and who supported her. And then you look at the DV situation and her continuing to go back. There's a whole psychology behind that. And that's for another episode, but I don't know. We can call them bad boys. Why do women like bad boys? I don't know. All right. The brother found her in the living room. Brian was in the bedroom, passed out. And apparently the bedroom is where the Narcan was found. I saw something earlier asking if she could have been moved. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The last article I read, and it keeps coming, was that Brian said his brother was sleeping. Or maybe Zach said Brian was sleeping. Let me try to find the article. If anyone has it, let me know. All right. Either way, DEA is probing into this, and that means something. Listen to what's happening here. I didn't know that his domestic violence past with her is still haunting him as he was hanging out with her.
If he had any involvement in Hayden's death. Authorities have said there were no signs of trauma or foul play, and we know her cause of death remains undetermined. But Brian Hickerson was in the space sleeping, supposedly, where Hayden died. And that's a big deal. And if we want to speculate about motive.
So there it is. That I had it backwards. Okay. Brian was allegedly sleeping, and Zach is the one that found her. So thank you for the correction. We were going to get that corrected. There's a lot of information and things coming out. So allegedly, that will probably take the culpability. And it seems like it could have been planned for his brother Zach to be like, oh, he was sleeping the whole time. All right. But they're going to look into that. And either way, someone's going to be held accountable. Thank you for correcting that. We're hearing it on here right now. Okay. We got the correction. Okay. You guys hit the like button. I see a lot of you. I don't know what live's going on, but people are in and out. If you could do me a favor and hit the like button on your way in or on your way out. All right. Let's continue. So that was backwards. The story is Hayden died and Brian was sleeping while Zach found her.
For somebody possibly wanting to get rid of Hayden, I would think that Brian Hickerson would be top of the list. Although at this point, there was nothing she could do to reverse his felony convictions. Did that to himself. But of course, he probably blamed her for calling the cops in the first place. But what stands out to me isn't just the charges, it's the pattern, the alleged violence, the alleged threats, the protective order. The condo building reportedly posting warnings with Brian Hickerson's photo, and the idea that even after legal intervention, the situation still didn't fully end in a clean break. I think when you consider the full legal history there, this stops being a simple "he was arrested" story, and it becomes something much more complicated. Will we ever know the truth about what happened to Hayden?
We don't know. Toxicology is going to tell us more, but let me make sure I get this with you, get it correct quickly. Brian and Zach, and this just came out today, all right? It came out today that police, law enforcement is investigating and DEA. And here's the story. Brian and Zach were at her apartment present when she died. Okay, when she OD'd. All major outlets, CBS, ABC, NBC, Yahoo, E! News confirm that Brian and Zach Hickerson were inside the apartment when Hayden was found unresponsive. Now, mind you, they pronounced her dead almost immediately. All right. There wasn't much of a reviving situation. Now, EMS and firefighters that were performing active CPR on Hayden they're saying that while they were performing CPR, that Zach, Brian's brother, was very emotional while the EMS worked on her. Brian, however, her ex-boyfriend, didn't become emotional until they declared her deceased. This confirms that both men were awake, conscious, and interacting with responders, not asleep or unaware. Okay? So we got that. Now, who found Hayden? Listen, some outlets say Zach was the one who initially saw her unresponsive, and others simply state that the EMS was already working when police arrived. Now, all confirm that both brothers were present and awake during the emergency response. Now, guys, Brian literally handed a bag of medication over and said Hayden was taking this. Okay, the list of medications are there, but they're redacted. So we don't know. There literally is a list of medications on the report that we can't see. All right. So all we heard in the documentation was a bag of medication, quote unquote. All right. The autopsy and preliminary investigation found no trauma or signs of foul play. But bottom line, Brian and Zach were with Hayden. They were both awake and interacting with EMS and police Zach was more emotional and Brian didn't become emotional until they declared her dead. All right, let's move on.
Are there cameras in that condo or apartment, whatever it is? Did anything get captured on video? We know that Hayden struggled with addiction issues. So it is very possible that she could have been relying on medications to deal with back pain, perhaps emotional pain. But this really is sort of a sleeping with the enemy type of story. Like, why would she be hanging out with this guy who had threatened her, who had video on her that he was holding over her head? Did she reconcile to try to get a hold of those videos? Or was this all about blackmail and her feeling sort of trapped having to deal with this guy? Factor in, did she really love him? Maybe she did. Sometimes we think we love people who are hurting us.
All right, let's continue. All right, let's take a look at this brawl real quick. This was 4 years ago. It's wild what you find when you're looking for this particular case and what's happening now. Stockholm Syndrome. Take a look at this. Hayden Panettiere and Brian Hickerson getting a massive brawl with bar patrons. Look at this. I'm going to make it big so y'all can see it. All right. And it's not, I mean, trigger warning. All right. Trigger warning. It's not crazy or anything. It just gives you an idea of what happened. And you can see Hayden and what was going on. All right. She actually had dated both brothers. Now, Stockholm Syndrome, Justin says, but Tammy, I haven't seen any reports of that. As a matter of fact, I saw a picture of Hayden holding hands with Zach, but she said to the people, the paparazzis, that she was not in any kind of relationship sexually or any kind of emotional, sexual, none of that. She was just friends with them. So dated, I'm not sure. I'll look into that, though. Let's take a look at this fight. It's surprising.
And that person there in the white sweater, that is Hayden Panettiere in the middle of a just crazy brawl that went down last night that started in the bar at this hotel.
Yes, inside the bar, Hayden was there with her boyfriend, Brian, and they, according to witnesses, both of them got into an argument with another group of people. Someone in that group claimed that Brian had spit on them, and a manager came over and said, "Everybody out, get out." So
kicked them all out.
So they all got kicked out, and it seems here like they've got things calmed down. Not even close. It got so much worse. Moments after this, as they're all now outside of the hotel, it turns into an all-out brawl, and Hayden is right in the middle of it.
All right, so look at how young they look. Now you're going to see Hayden right in the forefront of this. She's in the white sweater and the jeans. Look, right there.
Wait a minute. So the reason she's yelling, "Brian, jail," she's reminding Brian that if you continue to pursue this fight, you might end up in jail. Brian is on probation from a domestic violence incident
involving Hayden, where she was the victim.
But they're back together.
And he's on probation, by the way, until 2025.
Right. So they're back together, and now she's trying to remind him, don't do this. You could end up in jail. It got worse. Then the fight continued, and Brian ignored what Hayden said and continued going toward these people. You see, that's Brian in the white sweater who just got hit. Now someone's on top of him, and Hayden isn't walking away from this. She is right there trying to pull people off of Brian. She gets knocked over.
Yep.
This is crazy. And
at one point in that,
absolute bedlam.
guys, it looks like she even took a foot to the face, too. It looks like she got kicked. I mean, the way this thing started, it was inside the bar. We're told that Hayden and Brian had some words with that other group there, and it was alleged that Brian had spit on someone from the other group. The manager said, "You know what, get out of here," and that's what we see happen. Police were called, but by the time they arrived, everyone had kind of dispersed and no report was taken. But you wonder if at least someone from the other party is kind of thinking things over this morning and may do so, because it looks like Brian's the aggressor. The other group had walked away, and he charges back after them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
by the
thing.
way,
Regardless of whatever happened in the bar, once they got outside and it was broken up,
look at that,
for whatever
man.
reason, Brian continued to pursue it. That looked like Hayden hurt her face.
It resets once you're outside the bar, and if he becomes the aggressor outside, even if he wasn't inside, he's in trouble for this. And you don't need to file a police report.
Listen, guys, any man that's going to let you be in a predicament like that, you shouldn't be with. All right. Once I saw this, now this was from 4 years ago. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised that she was with him on her birthday. That is not a man right there. Good night, Gianna. Bye, Foxy. Everybody else, thank you. With what and what levels? Well, maybe Miss Bonnie, but I think we're going to have a much better understanding when the toxicology comes out. I think it's going to be fairly straightforward.
Or if somebody wants to start a probation violation case, his probation officer, if he finds out about or she finds out about this, they could go right to the judge and say he's violated probation. So even if there's no police report, he's at risk here with the probation officer.
Yeah, this is and it does seem like in the aftermath, Hayden and Brian were walked back into the hotel by maybe security. She sustained some sort of injury there. I don't know if it's it looked like she had hit her face on the ground at one point, and she's looking at her hand. Certainly, I'd imagine she got some road rash from what was going on there. But
I am assuming since they were at the bar,
she should have never been in that predicament, period. All right, we're going to go over a little bit of what can happen in this case with the DEA joining. And then, y'all, we still got 162 people here. Cynthia's like, is anyone still here? Hit the like button. If you're not here, then I'll go hang out and do something else, guys. Let me know. Let me know if you're going to be in chat. All right, let's take a look at some of this. It just came out. I said 2 hours ago, but I saw it a few minutes ago. Let's take a look. All right.
Does this mean? What are they looking for? What is happening now behind the scenes? So I'm going to be bringing on a retired detective shortly to talk about that, what we should be thinking about. But first, let me just give you some more information, okay? So we have also learned that reportedly the Heroes actress on-again, off-again boyfriend, Brian Hickerson, and his brother, Zach, were at the scene.
All right, so this is perfect timing to bring this up because if I state something wrong, I'll correct it as well. All right, so let me make sure that I correct this. Hayden dated Brian Hickerson. She did not date Zach Hickerson. Zach was a friend, and she wanted people to know that he was a friend she spent time with during periods when Brian and her were broken up. But no source describes them as romantically involved, and she absolutely said they were not romantically involved. All right. Multiple sources verified that Hayden and Brian were on again and off again in a romantic relationship from 2018 to 2026. They began dating in 2018, and the relationship was very tumultuous, involving several domestic violence cases. But Zach, his brother, told police at the death scene that Hayden was his brother's girlfriend. They recently had reconnected shortly before her death. Hayden and Brian were romantically involved for years, but Zach Hickerson and Hayden were not at all romantically involved. As a matter of fact, in September of 2019, Hayden was photographed in New York holding hands with Zach during a period where her and Brian were broken up, and there was a restraining order. This was described as a friendship to E! Online. All right. She reported, this is a long-lasting friendship. He supports me when I'm on my bad times, being emotional over Brian. That's it. That's all. So I want to report that to you because she didn't want people thinking that she was dating both of them. All right. Let's continue.
We're at the apartment that they placed the 911 phone call. CNN is claiming the police report indicates that an officer interviewed the brothers, with the police report saying, quote, I spoke with Zach Hickerson first. He advised this was his brother's girlfriend. CNN is also reporting that Brian Hickerson allegedly showed officers a bag of medications at the apartment. This is per a police.
Now, mind you, I don't know anything about the brother being gay or anything. I have no idea about that. I'm going to assume he's probably not. The fact that or maybe he is in the closet, but the fact that he's a pastor, a lot of times you're not a pastor unless you're a gay pastor. And I don't know about the jealousy, but Hayden just recently came out as being bisexual. If that means anything to you, that was something that recently she was reckoning with herself. Okay, so there's a possibility that, you know, her being bisexual and being jaded by Brian and just needing a friend because her mom's a piece of crap and so is everybody else surrounding her, that they were actually just friends. Golden Hen, sorry I haven't been here. My mom passed away. Today is my first day I'm home. I'm in the middle of this. My son's getting married Saturday the 22nd. Missed you, Jay, and everyone. Well, Golden Hen, we missed you too, and huge prayers for you. Everybody, please say a prayer for Golden Hen. That's so tough, my friend. Moms are the closest to us, most of us anyway. And congratulations on your son getting married, however, but we're sorry and prayers to you. All right, all of us are saying prayers for you. A bag of meds. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you guys for the prayers.
Report. And by the way, TMZ has also reported that sources claim Narcan was found at this apartment too, which is used to treat an opioid overdose. Now, something to note about Brian Hickerson, if you're not familiar with him when it comes to Hayden Panettiere, he had been accused by the actress of domestic abuse, particularly in her memoir just a few months back. The New York Times was reporting that back in March, only a few months before Hayden Panettiere died, she reportedly hired security to keep Hickerson away. That court documents reveal he was sentenced to 45 days in jail after pleading no contest to 2 felony domestic violence charges for injuring Panettiere. Panettiere wrote in her memoir, "What I never told them was that the abuse I'd endured didn't feel as bad as the thought of being alone." And by the way, Hickerson himself even came out after this memoir was published, apologized for what happened, saying it was true, that he was in a dark place that included issues with substances, and that it was a, quote, terrible thing I did to her. In fact, let me call this out too, Hayden Panettiere's estranged mother, Leslie Vogel, has now spoken out to, telling NBC in part, quote, "This person in her life that we've been trying to get rid of for quite some time was with her at her death."
Trying to get rid of? Lady, you were still hanging out with him. Hayden said that you were hanging out with him and you had a relationship. She even had to verify that the relationship wasn't romantic, which who knows at this point if that's true or not.
And that was Brian Hickerson. Back in May, Hickerson called Vogel, quote, "one of the worst people I've ever met in my life." And there have been reports about what the relationship was like between Hayden Panettiere and her mother. But we go back to August 2022. So Hickerson was actually sentenced to several years of probation for violating his probation, had to complete a year-long domestic violence treatment program, attend AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, these meetings, complete dozens of anger management sessions. This is all according to court records. And there was even reporting that he even tried to get the court to reduce his felony convictions to misdemeanors, but without success. And that he even tried to do so as recently as last week. This is, again, according to court records, wasn't successful there either. The Hollywood Reporter apparently spoke with Mia Terrazas, who claims to have been Hayden Panettiere's neighbor in West Hollywood, says that she called 911 at least a half a dozen times to report these disturbances, says that she absolutely saw signs of domestic violence with respect to Hickerson, telling the outlet, quote, "I saw her leaving on a gurney. Brian was right next to her, and I asked her if she was okay, and it looked to me that she had suffered some type of trauma that looked to be battering. It was clear she was terrible."
And again, maybe Brian learned his lesson now. Maybe Brian learned his lesson and said, hey, I can't leave marks, so I'm going to do this, right? He was just smiling when he was, Justin, smiling when like the side smile too. He's a scumbag, agreed. That poor woman spent her last moments with that monster. Look at what he did to her. I mean, it's hard for me to believe a person like Hayden would be caught up in something like that, but she was just a person like everybody else. Hey, Purple Rain, good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Channel 53, shout out to Mab. What a creep, agreed. Hey, Melissa, I'm glad that you're busy with the twins. Hey, it's a busy new life. It's good. It's a birthday. It's Leo's birthday today. Is it? Whose birthday?
And then there's this. According to page 6, police just showed up to Hickerson's grandmother's house in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, this was for a welfare check. The outlet claimed that Zach was home. Again, this is days after Hayden Panettiere's death, but we cannot say at this point definitively if this has anything to do with Hayden Panettiere's death, if it's any way connected to that investigation, but I'm just going to call this out anyway. To be clear, by the way, no one No one has been accused of a crime. No one has been charged with a crime in any way here. I just want to make that clear as we were reporting this.
We don't want to get sued, is what he's saying. All right. And I do want to place a couple of these things because we've got a lot of celebrities coming out and saying things, really beautiful things about Hayden. And I want to show that because we've got the mom that made a disgusting comment. We've got the ex-boyfriend that we know is a piece of garbage that abused her. And those people are no good. So let me put this for a minute. Happy birthday, Sandra. Leo, another Leo birthday, guys. Shout out to happy birthday. Super late party crash. She was 36 when she died. She was going to be 37 on Friday. Damn.
She is a wonder, and my prayers are with her family.
That's
Nashville
long.
co-star Connie Britton posting online with a photo of them saying, "This was Hayden, bursting with brilliance, shining so bright. I have no words for this sad song, just heartbreak. I love you, girl. Sleep easy now." Actor Justin Chatwin telling Fox News Digital, quote, "Well, I met her back in her 20s on Heroes, and then I met her again on this film, Sleepwalker. We reunited, and she's just got one of the biggest hearts of anyone that I've worked with, and she's super sweet. But I noticed the difference in, life had taken a toll on her, and she had a lot of unfortunate incidents. At the end of the day, you go home from a warm, fun movie set where everybody's telling you you're great, and you're alone in your house, and you still got to order your coffee and eat your dinner, and it's a really lonely career. But on set, she was super fun, and I really loved having deep conversations with her." Actress Misha Barton telling Fox News Digital.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, listen, you guys do me a favor and welcome Serenity of Love 91 to the Crime Crew official, or the Crime Crew family. All right. New subscriber. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you a lot. Thank you for whoever gifted a membership. Well, you're welcome. Whoever gifted that, thank you. You won't be disappointed, Leslie. All right. All right, let's continue. Exactly. That's how it happens so many times, though, Princessa. So many times. These people have millions and everything in the world doesn't mean anything. Doesn't. It really doesn't. I wish people would understand that the most important thing is love and the relationships that surround you. Money's not going to do anything for you when you're lonely or when you're, when domestic violence comes in, you have no one to talk to. When your own mom turns against you, right? All right. Welcome, Serenity. Thank you, guys. Welcome to the Crime Crew family, Serenity.
Deserves to endure. Her passing at such a young age with so much life still ahead of her is profoundly heartbreaking. Heroes co-star Masioka posted on X that he was absolutely heartbroken to hear about Hayden. "I had the privilege of working closely with her, and I'll always remember her for her beautiful spirit, immense talent, and the joyful energy she brought to everything she did and the people around her. She was way wiser beyond her years and now gone too soon. My heart goes out to her family and everyone who..."
Guys, she was in the Hollywood industry for 36 years. Jacqueline Padilla, welcome to the Crime Crew family. Just subscribed and I'm getting all of the notifications. Can't wait. Thank you. Let me put this down there for the people that are new here. My schedule is live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm in California, or 7 p.m. Eastern, right? If you're in the Central Coast, then it's 6 p.m., but 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. No weekends. All right. I can't deal with that. All right. Let's continue. Lori, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Lori, where you at, girl? Yes. Inquisitive P, the poor girl was crying out for help, and all everyone did was take advantage of her, in my opinion. She died in the vicinity of her abusive ex-boyfriend. That's rough. To me, it is.
Loved her. Rest in peace, Hayden. Actress Emma Roberts, who worked with Panettiere on Scream 4, writing, "Rest in peace, my sweet friend. You are so loved and you will be forever missed."
Damn.
Actress Kim Cattrall, who worked with Panettiere on 2005's This Disney film Ice Princess, wrote, "Rest in peace, sweet Hayden. Gone far too soon." And going back to Vladimir Klitschko, her ex-partner, ex-fiancé, former heavyweight boxing champion, posted on X, "Our family is going through a time of profound shock and grief. The announcement of Hayden's tragic death saddens me deeply. She left this world far too soon. Hayden was, although no longer my partner, an important part of my life and the mother of our daughter, Kaya. She built an incredible career through immense talent while also facing the darker sides of a very demanding industry. Nothing will erase the times we shared or the place she had in our lives. To our daughter, Kaya, I will always speak of her mother with respect and make sure she remembers the person she was. I extend my deepest condolences to Hayden's parents, her friends, and her fans who are also grieving today. Young and talented people like Hayden should not leave this world so soon. I ask everyone to please respect our family's feelings and privacy during this incredibly difficult time. For now, this is all I wish to say. Thank you to everyone who is supporting my family and
Now, if that wasn't a beautiful message, I don't know what was. All right. That was beautiful. I wish that guy would have kicked Brian's ass, but obviously, you know, that's not how we solve things. That's not the way to do it. Hey, Ellie, good to see you. Quiet, but here. Best everybody. Thank you. I appreciate you. Carol, how you doing? All right, let's continue. Right, classy. Actually, I got to give him the most credit. The fact that he didn't talk crap up to his daughter about her and he kept everything so civil and he was raising her. I still can't believe that she signed over custody, but I understand why. Now I understand why.
expressing their sincere condolences. Rest easy, Hayden. May you find eternal peace. Okay, let me bring in retired detective, law enforcement.
Let's go. I want to hear what he could be facing.
That the substances that may have contributed to Hayden Panettiere's death may be connected to a person or organization that is already the subject of their investigation.
You know, a lot of people have already been saying Matthew Perry. Is that what you're talking about? That whatever the substance, and by the way, we don't know as I said, we don't know the cause and manner of death. We don't know the circumstances here, but you're saying you bring the DEA on board if they're now trying to find the suppliers, the people who, if there were substances there who gave those substances. What resources does the DEA bring into an investigation? What do they do?
All right, listen up for a second because I want to hear this too. I've literally been just cycling through everything all day, and then this came out, and I'm like, okay, what are we facing? What's happening? Jacqueline, thank you for the shout out. I just flew out of bed to tell my wife I got a shout out from you. Thanks. Well, shout out to your wife as well. Thank you. Come back tomorrow. Fridays are always a good time, 4 p.m. All right. I don't know what we're covering, but we always do it with style. All right. And the Crime Crew family is just lovely. So thank you. All right, let's continue. I want to hear what the DEA is going to bring to this. What are they looking for?
The DEA has massive resources. They have tremendous forensic capacity. And this is a case certainly where it appears that they are already looking at communications, looking at devices. The DEA, if they've already got a person or organization under investigation, has a lot of intelligence on that target that they can leverage to support this investigation. I don't know what the law is in South Carolina in terms of being able to charge somebody with homicide for causing the death of another person through the provision of illicit substances. But that is certainly a possibility. And the Matthew Perry case would be the most famous example.
How do they work hand in hand with local law enforcement? How does it work? And because they have competing not competing, but they have differing goals, right? I mean, what the DEA is.
Now, listen, the DEA is looking at a situation like this where there's money, and where there's money, you'll find the source where it went to. All right. So I believe they realized with this bag of medication, it came from somewhere, and it sure didn't come from the crackhead guy on the corner that just woke up from a stupor because he got his first of the month check. I'll tell you that much right now. So who's supplying them with what? All right. Just got in. Hello, Jay and crew. We have good snacks. Ain't no party like a Friday Crime Crew party. I agree. Thank you. You guys are the best. I couldn't do this without you, so thank you guys.
Is looking for is different than what local law enforcement is looking for.
Possibly. I mean, a joint investigation is a fairly common practice. Generally, the DEA, like the FBI, works very well with local law enforcement. It's a complementary approach rather than a competitive approach.
When I said authorities are investigating if a crime was committed, if there was some sense of illegality, particularly because her death was so sudden, what are they looking for? Who are they interviewing? How does it work in terms of trying to see if a crime was committed?
Well, there's a couple of ways that a crime could be involved here. I mean, it is certainly not immaterial that she died in the company of Brian Hickerson, who has been convicted of felony abuse against her. When women die, when they are murdered, it is very often by intimate partners. So absolutely, that possibility needs to be part of any state investigation. Beyond any possible culpability on Mr. Hickerson's part, there is the question of, again, if this is a case where she died because she was provided with some kind of illicit substance, where do those substances come from? And is it possible to hold criminally accountable the person or persons that provided her with those substances? So there's really kind of two fronts in terms of looking at criminality: the possible involvement of the intimate partner or other persons that were actually present at the time that she potentially overdosed, and then kind of one step out, where do those substances come from?
She's such a beautiful person. You could see it's the first of the month. Wake up, get up, cash your checks and get up. Now, she's a beautiful person. And the way they captured her in the paparazzi, the way they captured her. And when you see her, she knows there's a camera out. She just is beautiful. She's a beautiful soul. But so many times, so many interviews I saw her in, that her eyes were just so sad. Even when she was talking about, like, okay, I just did this movie, or I'm going to do this movie, or what have you, her eyes were sad, guys. All right. But she was absolutely beautiful. All right. Now I got that song in my head. It's the first of the month. Either way, she was a recovering addict, and having that bag of medication and her ex-boyfriend that committed domestic violence and still wasn't over that yet, still hadn't got past that, it just says a lot. Accidental or not, I don't even care. If it was an accident, he should still be found culpable for his part in this. Someone said this earlier, and it's true. She flew to him in South Carolina to visit him, and he's probably the one that got those drugs locally. Okay, you don't hop on a plane with a bag of medication. You got to have the bottles and whatever. So that's not how that goes.
And can the person or organization that provided those substances be held criminally liable?
But why do authorities initially say no trauma, no suspicious circumstances, no evidence of foul play? What would lead them to say that? And how do you reconcile that with the new reporting that they're investigating to make sure a crime wasn't committed?
Well, both things are possible. When they say no evidence of foul play, no trauma, that simply suggests that there was no indication that she was beaten, stabbed, shot, or somehow violently killed. That does not mean that her death, whether it be an accidental overdose or somebody intentionally providing her with enough drugs to kill her, is not a separate crime. So the initial scene did not appear, apparently, to show a violent death. That doesn't mean that the death is not potentially a homicide.
Just to be clear, again, I'm going to say this again. No one has been charged with a crime. No one has been accused of committing a crime. No one has been accused of committing a crime in connection with Hayden's death. However, generally speaking, how would you know whether somebody purposely made someone overdose or tricked them or spike something?
Now, listen, it doesn't even matter if they purposely did it or not. Bottom line is, it happened. And somebody has to be accountable for providing that bag of medication. Now, if they come back and they find out, guys, that she had prescriptions for that, or she had that, or she went to her local dealer before she went on the plane and she took it over there, they're going to find that out. I wonder if the cops requested the meds if he already had them in a bag. No, listen, the police report said that, and that's why my thumbnail's like that. The police report said that as they were reviving her and the situation was unfolding, Brian walked up with a bag of medication and said, "Here, this is what she was taking." It was ready to go. He literally handed them a bag ready to go. And yes, Matthew Perry. So whether it was intentional or not, it still needs to be charged the same way, in my opinion. Yep. There you go. And supplying them and then her dying because of them. Hey, Snippy.
Or, what would be some potential evidence there?
Again, they're looking closely at communications, and that may show some plan, either a plan on her part potentially to take substance A when the toxicology ultimately shows that she died from an ingestion of substance B. That could suggest that somebody gave her something that she didn't intend to take, that she didn't have the tolerance for, that was much more potentially lethal. than whatever it was she intended to ingest. If that was done intentionally, that could be a crime. It's also possible, again, that the persons with her had no knowledge that she was ingesting something that could potentially be fatal, but the person or organization that provided those substances knew or should have known that she was being provided with something that could kill her. And again, if you're obtaining drugs, particularly in this day and age, and particularly if you're a celebrity, you're not driving down to some sketchy corner. You're doing it probably through electronic communication.
Exactly. And when the DEA sees this, they're going to be investigating on where that bag came from. Follow the money. All right, Snippy, welcome to the Crime Crew Official. Thank you for being here. I hope you like it. Look at my schedule down below. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. California time. All right, let's continue.
Communications.
Let me ask you this. So it all comes down to the toxicology test, the toxicology
Yep.
report, right? I mean, like what does that testing entail? How long does something like that take? And how will we find out the results of that?
I imagine, again, I don't know the practices in South Carolina, but I would imagine that once the toxicology is done, that report should be publicly available, just like autopsy reports are generally publicly available. The exception would be if there is an ongoing criminal investigation and there's a reason to keep those findings secret, either because they don't want to tip off the targets of the investigation or because the
Guys, there's so many redactions. At the end of this, I'm going to play a clip that just came out about the police report. So many redactions. We're not going to see anything until they let us. All right. It's all speculation. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everybody's referencing the Matthew Perry death. And that's because initially we thought, okay, Matthew Perry was having a hard time doing the ketamine therapy and he OD'd. But in fact, they held somebody responsible, multiple somebodies. All right.
intend to present the findings to a grand jury and don't want to taint that process. If either of those things are true, it could be a while before we find out in order to protect the integrity of an investigation.
And generally speaking, does it take a while for those tests to come back? Does it take a while for them to fully do a complete evaluation of what was in her system?
It's typically a matter of weeks. Again,
we don't know yet. We heard the 911 call. They said she was in cardiac arrest, and we think that it was due to an overdose, which it probably was, but we don't have a toxicology report, and it could be months before that happens. All right. Exactly. That's exactly, Snippy. I'll leave that up there for a moment. Regardless of whether he gave her something different than it was in the bag or not, that's going to come out. I have to use a doctor that would exactly. You used to have a doctor, right? Well, that's where the opioid epidemic came from, Channel 53. If you guys don't know about the opioid epidemic, you should really learn about it. It will make so much more sense in this day and age and how it's played out. That's what they used to do, Channel 53. They would write oxy and opioids and Norco. They didn't call it Norco back then. It was Vicodin. They wrote that for anything. Your chest could hurt. Your pinky hurts. A bunch of coal miners used it because they were in pain, and it just started the epidemic. Even the doctors were using it. That's how it got so bad. There's a documentary on Hulu about it. It's pretty good. If you guys don't know, you should know. And yes, sugar's a drug. Absolutely. All of this stuff, all of these things are. There you go. All right, let's continue.
Can rush things, and the process itself doesn't take too terribly long. It's just a question of kind of what their procedure is in terms of bumping the line, to be crude about it, in a high-profile case.
If it's true that Narcan was present there, what does that tell you?
So it's interesting. I noted that, and what's not clear to me is whether the Narcan was brought to the scene by emergency medical personnel or whether it was already on scene. If it was already on scene, it's fairly common now for people who use central nervous system depressant drugs and opiates to have Narcan handy because it is a lifesaver. Overdoses, particularly from fentanyl, have been reduced dramatically, at least deaths from overdoses have been reduced dramatically because users have access to and use Narcan. So again, if this was something that was planned, that they would have Narcan on hand is not surprising. And obviously, emergency medical personnel carry Narcan with them because they respond routinely.
Here's the problem, and if they did that, the problem was spiking her drink or getting pills that specifically have fent in them. you still get held accountable. And I'm wondering if he did do something nefarious like that, because yes, he does have a motive. Did he do that nefariously thinking, oh, she's just an addict anyway. She's been recovering. Everyone knows she gets high. They're not going to even pay attention. They're just going to look at it as another Hollywood death too soon. All right. So I do wonder that was intentional.
Overdoses, particularly on fentanyl and other CNS depressant drugs.
You know, look, we're still trying to understand what happened. Variety is reporting that a director, Griff First, who directed one of Hayden Panettiere's final films, said that her team had asked him to participate in an intervention for her after they filmed that movie last year. So, you know, look, this is, as I mentioned, she's been open about her struggles in the past, and we're trying to understand it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a will. I saw something just recently that talks about how much money that her daughter's going to inherit from this. So if she had a will or didn't have a will, I think the money's going to go to the daughter. Hey, Allie, good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Glad you're here. Magic Johnson caught AIDS in the early 90s. Does anyone know if Magic Johnson... Wow, we're not talking about Magic Johnson, but okay. Okay, like Little John says. What? All right.
You had talked about Hickerson. I mentioned Hickerson before. I mentioned his brother there, both of them there. So I feel like law enforcement, they spoke to them initially, but do they have to investigate them further? How far back do they go? What questions do they ask? Do they get a subpoena for, or a warrant rather, for their electronic devices? What goes on with the Hickersons?
So, as I said earlier, I think you have to look at them, or at least look at Brian Hickerson as a person of interest in this case until he can be ruled out, simply because he's been convicted of.
Prayers, Allie. Now listen, Allie, if you're going to have a surgery, yeah, definitely keep us posted. You know, we'll be here with you Monday through Friday. Just pop us in and just let me talk. All right. I'll keep you entertained for a couple hours a day. I really hope you don't have to get that, but if it helps you, then absolutely. And right. Soulful Traveler, of course, staged like she had a problem. So it's more believable, but how do they find him culpable of that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. All right. All right, let's continue.
Harming her. And again, just statistically, when women are killed, it is very often by intimate partners. Yep. So he's an obvious person of interest unless and until he can be eliminated. To that end, they should be interviewing him if he's willing to talk, and they should absolutely be looking at electronic devices. They might also get a warrant for his physical premises, for where he lives and for his vehicle. Again, this is not saying that he is guilty of anything. It's just saying that a thorough investigation should absolutely consider him as a person of interest.
Was there anything unusual to you about the police report? Was it the idea that, you know, they were there, called 911? Brother said this was Hayden Panettiere's boyfriend. We know that it's a lot more complicated than just that, but anything from the police report strike you as strange?
Not at first glance. You know, a lot of folks have been making a lot of noise about the fact that Brian Hickerson did not appear particularly emotional until he was notified that Hayden Panettiere was gone. I think that's a red herring. People who are experiencing traumatic events react in any number of ways.
Now, of course, we're going to say that because this piece of trash was abusing her for years, and we're looking at text messages that show the abuse and the threats prior and up into this. All right. Yes. Praying, Allie, and everybody is praying.
I've seen people be hysterical. I've seen people be catatonic. I've seen people go from one to the other in a matter of minutes, and how you react in hour one is different than how you react on day two. So I think we make a mistake in trying to read into his reaction something that speaks to his potential involvement. There's just no one way to react to trauma.
I thought they said he did show emotion, but maybe I read it wrong.
They said he didn't show emotion until they pronounced her dead. All right. You still can't get over the Hickerson name. I'm a hick, Channel 53 says.
My recollection was that the brother was quite emotional, and that Hickerson was kind of, it sounds like fairly flat in his affect until he was notified of her passing. And again, that is a perfectly normal and potentially perfectly innocent response to trauma.
How much does the family get to know about the investigation? How much are they kept abreast before the public, before the media?
What family? The only person that I see supported was the dad. The big wigs she exposed from the book. Yeah, we talked about that as well. She exposed a lot of people, and she was continuing with that on her book tour. All right. Now, okay, we talked about this. What are they looking for? I think we get it, but I'm going to take us to the incident report that was released by Greenville Police so y'all can see what has come out by the police and what hasn't and what's redacted. And then you guys, class will be dismissed. Thank you guys for coming here. Hit the like button on your way in, on your way out. If you're on the rewatch crew, please hype this video if you like the way I present true crime. If not, then good luck to you. All right, do your thing. If you don't like the way I present stuff, or you don't like what I do, see you later, or not. All right, let's take a look at this incident report, and then we'll be out. Then you guys can see what is actually on the report and what's not. All right, there's a lot of redactions.
Investigation into Hayden Panettiere's death. Greenville Police released the incident report, but it's heavily redacted. Fox County's Christina Feliciano has more with the new details we're learning from that report.
This report gives us a little more of a picture of what Hayden Panettiere's final moments looked like, but there are still some very big questions left unanswered. Here's what we know. The report says Panettiere's on and off again boyfriend Brian Hickerson and his brother Zach were both with her when she was found unresponsive at Judson Mill. A Greenville police officer wrote that Zach was very emotional while EMS was trying to save Panettiere, but the report says Brian did not become emotional until EMS pronounced her dead. Yay. Police also say the complex's courtesy officer told them there was security video showing Hayden, Brian, and Zach coming and going from the apartment. Since the news broke, people who live in Greenville have been paying their respects, leaving signs and flowers in front of the apartment complex. Yeah. But on Tuesday, I saw a familiar face, flower delivery driver Bennett Rogers. I first met Bennett almost a month ago in Taylor's when a man died after being hit by a train. At the time, she left flowers for the victim, and this was no different.
Every single day that there are people hurting and there are people suffering, and sometimes it just takes one little moment of kindness out of your day can make a big difference, even if you don't think.
Jacqueline, Jay, I have a very similar story as far as depression, losing my whole family, and alcoholic. Sorry, I'm sorry for that. A lot of people I notice in the community do. And that's why they, watch this stuff or learn from it or what have you. I hope you're doing a lot better now. I get it, though. I do. Klonopin is one of the ones that was suspected of a possible that was something else. I saw that because a lot of Hollywood people take that. I don't think it was that, though. A lot of mysterious death in South Carolina. Doesn't talk to people like you do, though. Revenge, maybe. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys. Remember that when you're out on the streets and the people are talking crap, don't let it get to y'all. Just don't worry about it. Just don't go to channels like that. If you don't like what they're saying or they're saying something bad, I really don't want you guys fighting with anybody. That's on me. All right? That's on me. And that's pure just jealousy, whatever is going on with these damn people nowadays. Keyboard warriors.
It does in the moment. So in a little ways, I try to pedal it forward and just give a little bit of myself and just to tell people, there are people who understand and who are with y'all.
Rogers says she always looked up to Hayden, and her death was a shock, especially so close to home. And while police have now given us more details, the report does not answer the biggest question: what caused Hayden's death? The victim information section marks her alcohol and drug use as.
Look at that, guys. There's a huge redaction, so we can't really tell what's going on other than speculation and what we heard from the 911 calls. All right. So there's a lot that we're just simply not going to know until toxicology is released. And then if there is really a crime, if there's a crime that DEA and law enforcement thinks, they're going to keep all of that under wrap. All right. They're going to put a gag order on this if that's the case. Yeah, it's all redacted. All right. Can't see their face, right? Exactly. Because I'm here. I've been here. I was here yesterday. I'm here today. I'll be here tomorrow. And I don't see any of that when I'm here. I'm right here. That's crazy. We're living in a crazy world nowadays, guys, where the people that tell the truth are the ones that get lied on the most. All right. The liars are the ones that you are like, oh, they telling the truth. But no, they just don't like the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. So they make up lies about those that do tell the truth. There's nothing you could do. It's none of our business what people think about us and what they say about us. Right. It's only our business if they come to us and say it. And then we can decide how we want to act. But otherwise, it really isn't my business to know what these other people that I'm never going to meet or see or talk to, what they think about me. It's not my problem. It simply isn't. And I can't carry that around. And I appreciate you guys. I understand why a lot of people are getting mad, or they're messaging me, sending me screenshots of people in chat talking crap. Guys, I'm so transparent. I've been transparent the entire time I've been on this platform, and I'm still transparent. But I don't need to know the bad stuff that people are saying about me. All right. I've had enough of that my entire life. All right. I've always had to fight to get a spot where I am. And I'm not fighting, and I'm not competing with anybody. I'm only competing with myself from today and yesterday and the day before. So please remember that before you take a screenshot or start fighting with these people in chat on the YouTube streets, wherever. Please don't. Please save your energy and save the good vibes and the love that you have for something else. Hey, Miss Kelsey, good to see you, my friend. What a beautiful picture you have of yourself down there. All right, guys, remember that. Nobody deserves to take your peace. And especially when somebody's so transparent about things. It's like, what? All right, just liked as well. Jay doesn't need to be in. Yeah, thank you, Baja. Thank you. And same for you guys. You guys don't owe anybody anything, and you certainly don't owe them your peace. So please don't fight with anyone about the crap that they're saying about me. Y'all know better. That's it. That's all. All right. Much love to you guys. Keep your peace. Save it for yourselves.
Unknown, so the report does not confirm whether she was under the influence of either. And the report is heavily redacted, which is not unusual for a high-profile and active investigation. We also know the coroner's office has not determined a cause or manner of death. The coroner says additional studies could take at least 2 to 3 months. So now we know more about what happened that afternoon, but not yet why. In the studio, I'm Christina Feliciano for Fox Carolina News.
All right, and that wraps it up. Let me go to my community post real quick. If you guys do want to show love or you want to say something, put it all right here. Just put it all out right here. You go to my community page and you put out the good vibes, put whatever you want, put it on my page. But don't lose yourself or anything good about you to anybody else. All right, you guys, to youtube.com/guilty of crime, and you go on and hit my posts. Right, there's my page, there's my post. I made a statement on there, and I asked that you go and you put that over there. Thank you, Caroline. I appreciate that so much. Thank you for the $5 towards our goal. All right, so it's right there. If you guys got something to say, you want to say, you got to get it out. This is my response to this, guys. This is my response. This. All right, if I'm going to say this, then y'all should be saying this too. You don't need to be fighting over any of that stuff. That's on me. I don't need anyone to fight my battles, okay? So please. I know, Renee, it's wild, but that's what I say to them. I'm not giving anymore, and neither should you guys. All right? So stay fucking jaded. Whoever's jaded, stay that way. If you guys got something you want to talk about, you want to show love, you want to complain, you want to tell me something, put it right here. Okay, there's 190 likes and 87 comments and on and on and on. You guys can go read those, add to them. If you don't like me, you could go on my page and say, fuck off, Jay, if you want to. But let's keep it right here, not on the streets of YouTube, okay? Because I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So here you go. There's my response to everything anyone ever says about me. It's right there. All right? That's it. That's all. Thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. I love you guys. And I thank you for the support. Right, Miss Kelsey? People are wrong about me all day, too. It's not my problem. All right? Thank you, Baha. I'm willing to start a new channel if I have to blow up some loser live stream. Well, thank you. Snippy, much love to you. Yeah, we don't got time for that. We got too much self-love and too many people that we love to be worried about that, okay? And I'm still on the island, baby. Yes. Chip says, if you see me yelling, tell me to shut up, and I will. Everybody that's came to me and send me screenshots and tell me all this stuff, I'm like, guys, don't waste your time, all right? And if I'm saying that, then you got to say that too, all right? I love you guys. Be safe and keep your peace, all right? Shout out to everybody that supports the channel. Allie, good to see you. Lori, glad you're here. Renee, much love. It says more about them than it does about you when people talk shit, all right? All right. Love you guys. I don't know what happened. That's a good question, Mo. What happened to Patricia? I don't know. I hope she's doing well, though. All right. Patricia was going to have a party at the Bellagio. Either way, we're all good. We had a great time. I got to meet you guys. I got to meet a lot of people. That's it. That's all. All right. Love you guys. Go and do better. And save your peace for something better. Not for keyboard idiot warriors. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. California time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Good night, guys. Love you. Big hugs. I'll do it like that. Big hugs. And fuck off. All right? Good night. Love you. There it is. And I even got I got my other ring on today, just in case. I don't fight with my fists. I fight with my words.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?